Seems to be taking a while to do the go live here. So I'm going to try to change up the layout a little bit here. If you guys don't mind, click on the guests icon on the bottom left. Da-da-da-da. There's scenes. There's no guest icon on the bottom left. Oh, that must be instructions for iOS. So I'm trying to see if I have the option of bringing in 10 people instead of 6. Been getting a lot of requests lately. Let's see. It's got to be in here someplace. Let's try this again. Via TikTok Live Studio. Okay. It's not easily obvious. So I'm going to leave it for another time. So you guys don't wait. Gotta let the dog in. Sorry. All right. Well, just an idea I had, a little bit too close to go live. Let's see who's in first. I think it was Cody. No, it was Price. Price. Price? I'm not sure how do you want to pronounce that. Mamie Scott. Let's just say hi for a bit here. D10 is coming by. Griffin. There's R. There's just that's Ralph. There. Now it just says Ralph. No, I just said R a minute ago. Young Livy. Hi, Nick Carr. Joseph Jackson. Cody. God is real. Difference of opinion there. Skeeter 20. Okay. So if anybody knows, let me just say hi on YouTube too. So we're on YouTube and TikTok here. You got the chat going on both. If you want to come in live, that comes in on TikTok. So those are your choices. If you're on YouTube, feel free to chat with each other. I will go over there as I'm able. Ralph, I'm going to hold off on you for a couple of minutes. Let's see if I can, unless you know something about how to get the 10 people up offhand. Let me check under settings real quick. Put that chat off to the side. I looked at this before. Scene transition, I don't want that. Record audio settings, don't want that. Audio should be fine. Check. Yep, audio's fine. Interaction, play together, life goal, polls, and gift vote, gift gallery, subscription, team, promote, themes, add source, screen sharing. Nope, that's not it. An upper right mobile preview, pretty much have that going. Record, layout tips. I'm not going to look at tips at this point. Okay, this is going to have to be another one of those things that I do off hours. Yeah, I'm looking for grid options, Ralph. I don't see it on the TikTok Live software, though. That's the same instruction that I had under looking up TikTok on the side. It said go live #1, which is kind of silly because I'd like to do the setup first, but go live and then look for the grid option menu. Let's see. And I don't see a grid option. I've got chat settings. Da-da-da-da. Huh. Not everything that's in their phone um based software is in this TikTok Live Studio, but I have to run through TikTok Live Studio to get this co broadcast working. Yeah. Okay. That's all right. I'll look at it for next time. It's quite possible. No, it should be here. I would want to say it's not here because it should be here, but I've just looked through all the places I can find. So let's see. Da-da-da. By the way, there's a new gaming thing that's happening for those of you who are after collecting a lot of coins and stuff. There's a new game that they're doing a promotion on where they've allocated like 100,000 coins or something big like that to give away. It's not something that I have time to do since I've spent so much time doing this show and then getting the merchant Etsy shop going these days that I don't have time for gameplay at this point. At least not right now. Live metrics. Do, 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 do. All right. Well, okay. And let me just throw a quick hello on the YouTube side. TikTok says, detecting no audio. Oh my God. 5 seconds of silence. We can't handle it. This is not broadcast TV. Sorry. 5 seconds of silence is not the worst thing in the world. Okay. Let's see. So I saw a comment go by. Let me grab that. Oh, sorry. So the question for today: if Jesus was alive today, preaching a new religion, would he be considered a cult leader? And for purpose of this hypothetical, you've got to consider that Jesus was never here in the first place. So let's assume Christianity never happened, and Judaism is popular or something like that. So Judaism is the major religion. It's Judaism, Islam, Buddhism, and Hinduism, and that Jesus starts preaching today as if he was preaching in the New Testament stories today. Would he be considered a cult leader? I would say yes, at least on the basis of the idea that he had few followers in his lifetime. Right? You start out small. You get your 12 disciples, or his 12 disciples, and um, I think as like Richard Carrier refers to him in that period of time as somebody who had a few thousand followers. So on that basis, I'll say yes. But let's get your opinion on it. And Code Man says, "I hate to break it to you, Jesus was considered a false prophet back then." Yeah, that's interesting. I would think so. I would think so. I mean, because the gods of the times were the Roman gods, and before Christianity took over in the Roman Empire, which is not until the 300s, so um, he would be considered um, just the same as any other person claiming to be a prophet back then. So it makes me wonder how many people would have to be following him for him to be considered a religious leader and not a cult leader. Now, in these days, we look at Jonestown, we had hundreds of people there. You look at the cults that really go bad, there's a small, you look at something like Mormonism, which began as, I don't know if it began as Latter day Saints or Mormonism, and that's just a name difference, though. And there was Joseph Smith is just one guy writing a book, and unless he had helpers, but the story is this one guy writing a book. So he's going to have a small following to start out. So that's certainly a cult as it begins. Although it grows, especially as he goes west into Utah. By the way, not speaking of TV shows that nobody watches, uh, I'm watching a show now that I highly recommend. It's called Hell on Wheels, and if you're not aware of this, it's on the Paramount Network right now, and it caught my eye because number one, I like westerns, and number two, I'm waiting for the new season of Star Trek to come out. The um, new discovery, not new discoveries, Brave New World, and Anson Mount is the captain, and he's head in this show. He's the lead character in this show, and it takes place at a time when the railroads are being built from the east to the west and west to the east, and where they're going to meet up, who's going to get there first, going across across the Rockies, etc. And the Mormons are a big part of this series because they are um, antagonists at some point. It's a very good show. I recommend it. I recommend it if you're looking for something called Hell on Wheels. It's got 5 seasons too.
What's going on, man? Remember me?
Hey MK, how you doing? Yeah, yeah, you were here last time.
Yep.
Ralph.
You have a degree or anything, or what?
I'm a
You
retired.
look like some kind of teacher or something.
No, I'm a retired pharmacist, but I've been doing this for a bit. I used to do well, still kind of do here and there atheist booth, um, with local groups and stuff like that. And I've done some
Oh,
talking.
I mean, hey, man, it's a valid theory. It's a valid theory.
Which is what's a valid theory?
A
Atheism?
atheism. Yeah.
It's not. Well, atheism is not really a theory because it's kind of a default. If you don't believe in other stuff, you're left with the position is called atheism. So it's not
No,
being
I'd say it's
it's not
deeper
being
than that.
convinced of a specific thing. It's just not being convinced of other things. So
What
let's.
about I mean, just what if you considered like Tesla, the company, as like being an occult like religion, because it like that's what the pagan religions started at is as were cults.
Well, I mean, to me, a cult has to, well, it doesn't have to have it doesn't have to be religion, but you need a charismatic leader, and you need to be essentially has to have a form of indoctrination. Oops, forgot to put a light up. Has to have a form of indoctrination, which means you're taught to not challenge. So there definitely are some aspects of it in terms of what Musk's personality is, but
Oh,
I
dude, that's crazy how like I didn't even notice that you had cults in the prompt.
yeah, yeah.
I'm just saying, like, you should think about that though.
I don't see uh Musk as a cult leader. He's got a cult leader personality if he wanted to do it, but I don't see that he's doing that.
I mean, from somebody with just like pretty good understanding of like the occult and like how early like pagan cults like turned into like the temple of Zeus, the temple of Hercules. They were all that word could be like interchangeable with like the cult of Achilles or the cult
Yeah.
of so like I mean I don't really buy even what the official like definition is. Like I think that that's like a CIA psyop.
Well,
Like
I mean,
whoever came up
so
with like that criteria needs to re-inspect that possibly.
Let's
I
see.
mean, well, if you're going to define cult as something else, then we're not talking about the same thing.
Let's see what the official Oxford
I'm
Dictionary
just saying,
says.
yeah.
So
I mean, that needs to be looked deeper at and redefined.
Oxford says cult is a system of religious veneration and devotion toward a particular figure or object. And a secondary definition, a relatively small group of people having religious beliefs or practices regarded by others as strange or sinister. Now, what's interesting to me in that right there.
That's
Well, let's go to
religious cult.
let's go to a third one because there's actually a third one that does not name religion. A misplaced or excessive admiration for a particular thing or person. So in
Okay,
that,
so Tesla, like the company, or Microsoft, or like all the people that work for McDonald's, even though they hate their lives, those can kind of be looked at as being cults.
no, well, there's a distinction here between something that's just popular and a misplaced admiration. Okay,
Or people working a job because they need a job
yeah,
versus not having an
And they have
option to
to adhere
leave.
to they'd have to
yeah.
adhere to like certain protocols though.
Well, every
They have
business
to.
has a protocol. I mean, Disney has a protocol um for their employees. Men used to not be able to have beards um as an employee at one point. Well, you can do that now. It has to be neatly trimmed or something like that.
I mean, it really just it could all go back to my argument of like people in nature are naturally like tribalistic, and like
Hmm.
they assimilate themselves into cults, and like the religion paganism slowly morphed into monotheism as a means to control the masses of society. It started in Babylon and Egypt and all these megalithic civilizations as
How
a means to control.
how do you define cult? Would you define it
Dude,
differently?
honestly, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know.
Okay, so we'll
I
just
would
keep with
consider
the
like
one.
McDonald's. I would consider like McDonald's to be like the cult of McDonald's, though.
Are you saying people who like to go to McDonald's, or are you saying people who work at McDonald's?
I think everybody's just in a cult of some form. Yeah, the people that work
That's a bit
at
overstated. I mean, we can look at like Starbucks, right? Starbucks was just like a big, fast growing company, and it was a big fad product at the very beginning, and that justified the growth, of course. So there's nothing cultish about that. They were selling a product, and we just because something
oh
becomes
man, it
even a
is though. It
ev-
is like because just human nature is just you're naturally inclined to be tribalistic. So that's why like like who is any if nothing actually really matters, then who are we to say that like what happened with the heavens GATE group, like who's to say that like that's more sinister than any other cult?
well, again,
That's like
if it is an unjustified belief, if it's a and if it is dangerous, if you're not allowed to get out, if you're criticized for getting out, if you're shunned for trying to get out, if you're punished in
I
some way
mean, do you
trying to
think that
leave.
a bear, you think that a bear like taking a dump in the woods gives a damn about that?
Uh, well,
Well,
how is that possibly related?
Just saying, his human nature is to be very tribalistic and
well,
cult like,
yes.
and to gang up on smaller cults and to clash with each other.
Most animals are group orientated. I mean, we see that all through the animal kingdom that you form groups, and that's just part of survival, and that's just part of our evolution is that you form groups to make a us group, which is more powerful than a me group.
That's the whole reason why monotheism started. It's a thing called the New World Order. It's a thing that's supposed to bring all of humanity together.
Why do you think it's something that was intentional?
It is very intentional, and all of the writing in the Bible is all very cryptic and esoteric in nature.
Doesn't isn't that the opposite of intent? If it's cryptic and esoteric, doesn't that essentially mean it's
Because
hard to decipher and we
it's
don't
not
know what it
meant
means? So that
to
doesn't
it's
imply.
not meant to be esoteric means it's not meant to be understood by the masses. It's meant to control the masses.
Okay. Let me look that up. Esoteric. My vocabulary should be better than it is. You're right. Intended for likely to be understood by a small number of people with specialized knowledge.
Yeah, the people that sit there and just believe it, they actually don't even understand it or its purpose.
Yeah, I mean that's the the rule of the Roman Catholic Church, and everything worked on for years. Catholicism worked on years is, we're only going to have the Bible in Latin, and only the priesthood is going to actually understand it, and we'll just pass on the information
Yeah,
that we have. Uh, Muslim faith, it's much the same way, where the Quran is passed down. However, you have to go to a Mon. I think I'm saying this right. You have to go to a Mon to be able to really understand what's there and have them tell you the proper interpretation of it and stuff. And that's why
yeah,
these
and then
are
same thing
or
with
what I would
rabbis,
call a
like,
cult, because you have to go to the leader to understand what
and then they don't
what you're
really
supposed to do,
lead
and
you
you're
to
told not to
anything.
question.
Yeah, you're just told like not to, like, yeah, exactly. But that was the same way with Martin Luther, with the Protestants. Prior to them mass producing the Bible on the printing press, a lot of people didn't even know how to read, for one, or like you couldn't even get a Bible, or you couldn't even have access to read one unless you were like a king or like nobility or somebody like with some serious wealth.
I mean, there's a reason behind that. I mean, books were expensive. There wasn't the printing press. There wasn't mass production. You had to have people handwrite. So, I mean,
Yeah.
and the difficulty of getting books means that you don't have as much written literature out there. So there's less of a need to read. So people are going to learn to read less. But I mean, the invention of the printing press and everything changed the world.
Yeah. Big
As
time.
truly a marvel that spurred so much change.
It is one of the major turning points. Just like the television, just like the computers, just like AI is going to do to us now. It's going to be one of these major jumps. And it's interesting that I think one of the ways the reasons the Bible is so influential is because at a time where there were not that many books out there to the average person, the Bible was one of those things that everybody had, and the Bible was very often used, especially 17, 1800s, as the book to teach people to read from. So that just it accelerates and reinforces its contents that much more, at least
Yeah.
in the United States.
But to your point, so if the prompt up there, if you were to say that Jesus wasn't born back then, right? So you still had Judaism, maybe you had some other religions, whatever it was. I don't think the results of this person, even if Judaism resulted into something close to what uh, the Christianity is today,
Hmm.
right? They would not accept Jesus, and they would ostracize. He would be called a liberal, a hippie, and ostracized from from the U.S. especially, and from the world in general, but especially here in the U.S., he would completely be ostracized. Of course, in the Middle East, he would be ostracized because the Muslim faith is completely different.
Yeah.
Um, but the interesting thing with that thought is that even even during his time, the Jews of his time that he was around, Judaism that was around at his time, they knew the prophecies of the Bible about the Messiah and everything. And it's startling to me that you did not have a huge conversion of the current day Judaism into Christianity at that time, when all those people knew what the messianic prophecies were. And if he was fulfilling those as Christianity today would have you believe, I think it's unbelievable that they wouldn't have said, oh, this is the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really hard to say that he's even a guy, to be honest.
You make a good, interesting point too, Ralph, because we think of Christians today, at least by according to what the book says, as following Jesus and kindness to others, and even though that's not the conservative path, that is the Jesus path. And without that, you basically would have Judaism on the basis of the Old Testament, which has the harsher, more inconsistent rules of that Old Testament.
Well, there is some harsh stuff in the Old Testament and within Judaism, but there is kindness to the stranger. There is kindness to the foreigner. There is, the when you reap your field and stuff, that you don't try to pick up every little thing. You leave the edges and stuff to the poor and needy, so they can come and grab some stuff from your field and stuff. And there's lots of scripture within the Old Testament that does deal with that, that nice part of the New Testament and stuff. There's also the stuff about forgiveness of debts and do not charging interest and stuff. However, most of that stuff was applied. There was some kindness to stranger stuff, but most of the nicer things and stuff were applied within Judaism itself. Like, you don't take another Jew to be a slave, but yeah, the foreigners, you can take those as slaves. But
the whole thing is
I don't think anybody should be slaves.
down to its core.
Oh, my bad.
Even when you go to like,
I agree, G4. Sorry.
Even when you go to like I said, Daniel was persecuted in his day from the Old Testament, but like the whole story is about him going into Joseph was persecuted when he went into Egypt. And the whole story really is about how they convert pagans into a monotheistic religion, sell it to them, and use it to control them. It's called Zionism. It's called the New World Order.
You think monotheism is more controlling than polytheism? It lends itself
that they
to
used
more control?
polytheism. I think that they used polytheism in the same way as a form of control, but monotheism is more effective.
Because it's more
I think
centralized?
it's more effective because it's more centralized. So you don't have, like with the Roman gods, you could say, well, the followers of Zeus believe this, the followers of, Poseidon or whatever other god and stuff, they have some other different rules they're doing. So when you have one god who has one set of rules, you can like put everyone under a single group and set of rules, and you can more firmly establish your order that you want.
Honestly, with the pagans was like the proving ground for this method. Whenever like they had the Temple of Zeus, it became pretty much nothing more than a tourist attraction to like collect like money from people.
So what is the point of the control? Is it financial? Is it power?
That I don't know.
Well,
I think it's because like the alternative, which is like true paganism, is pure animalistic tribal like barbarism at its core. It's the animal spirit of a man. That's paganism.
Let's see. Let me check some of these comments here. Ooh, a lot of comments.
So someone comments, Satan because Lucifer was God's favorite at a point. Lucifer there isn't even an angel Lucifer. The Lucifer, the only mention of Lucifer in the Bible isn't even talking about an angel or the devil or anything like that. It's a reference to a derogatory comment to another king or whatever in the area, and making fun of him as Lord of the Morning.
So Humblebee says, I wish God would go back to Old Testament mood. I don't know what that would be. I mean,
yeah, Lucifer is really like he's kind of like ripped off of Heimdallr, that's in Norse mythology. He's the day represented by the day Saturday. He's the light shedder. He's the one that sheds the light and like he predicts the light, and it's Saturday. It's the planet Saturn, and the next day after that is the day of the sun worship. He's the light bringer. He's the light shedder. He's like the day before Sunday.
So Lucifer, are you saying that that name came together
The name,
after?
the name,
Because
the
that's
name literally translates to the light bringer.
the light bringer. Because I mean, Vikings are
Yeah,
what 900 or so.
all the stuff was like ripped off of pagans basically, and like it's all astronomical. For example, like that's why Jesus like speaks seven times on the cross. It's because there's 7 celestial bodies visible with the naked eye. That's why they have 7 days of the week.
What are the celestial seven? What were you referring
It's
to? The seven planets?
Mars, Venus, Mercury, Jupiter, Saturn, the sun, and the moon.
Oh, okay, that makes
This
sense.
is back before we discovered more.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It'd be the ones that were visible by the naked eye.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
you can even see some of Jupiter's moons like with the naked eye, which is like
yeah,
why like Thor is like he's like the battler, you know? He's like Hercules, the one who like slays the 3-headed Hydra. It's because you can see Jupiter's moons like with the naked eye.
yeah, that's
Sometimes.
a cool thing. And it has to be very clear because it's close together, but it's just any pair of binoculars will
I've
take
seen
care
it
of it
one
too.
time. I've seen it once, like with the naked eye, actually.
Yeah, it's a very cool thing. And what I like is to go just watch it on alternate nights or every night, couple nights in a row, kind of a thing, because then you can see the changes in position, right? Because you can see 4 of them without a telescope, and since the inner ones rotate fairly quickly, the positions change from night to night considerably. You'll have like 3 on one side one night and 1 over here, and then 2 and 2, and then it's a pretty cool sight. It's a pretty cool sight.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to find out, you know, like how can a cult transition into another cult and branch out like the way that Christianity has branched out into so many different other cults.
Well, I mean,
Because
ultimately,
so
it's
big.
numbers.
Yeah.
But again, I when I think of cult, I think of indoctrination. So it's like you're being taught to not question what you're taught. So that's the nature. That's the definition of the difference between education and indoctrination, right? If you're just taught something, it's fine. But if you're taught to not trust any other version or alternate information, now you're working into indoctrination, and that's a cult factor, if you will.
Dogma.
Thank you for the follow. Well, dogma is yeah. If you're taught dogma, I guess if that's sort of like
Yeah.
the set of information, right?
Right. This is the stuff that you won't question, and if you follow this dogma and then you get
Yeah,
convinced of that dogma and you're indoctrinated into it, and then anytime someone questions that dogma, you're going to find ways to justify and renegotiate whatever it is to fit that dogma.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That makes sense.
Yep, that's the thing, dude, for sure.
Humblebee says, "Teach your kids not to sin, but let them make their own mistakes." Reasonable, reasonable. I wouldn't say not to sin per se, but I would just use a different word for there. But not to do bad things. I would just look at it from a moral perspective and kindness to other people and consideration for other people.
I mean, it depends on what age your children are that you're calling kids. You know, if you have a 1-year-old, I'm not going to let my 1-year-old reach up and put his hand on the stove and
Yeah.
burn his hand.
Yeah.
You know, that's hot. I might, you know, maybe a little bit older, let him get close to kind of feel the heat, but I'm going to control his hand to make sure he never gets to the point where he can sense that it's hot, but not where it lets him harm.
Yeah.
If I just let him make his own mistakes, you know, a little kid is going to go up there and just smack his hand on the stove and burn the heck out of it or something.
Yeah.
That's a simple example, but there's many others.
Yeah, remember, whenever I hear somebody say one of those, old fashioned, it's like, well, we didn't have this or that and we survived. And it's just like, yeah. And you know how many kids there were that got injured because of, I don't know, swing sets or whatever. I did a pediatric rotation at one point, and gosh, the saddest thing was there were several kids in the ward who had been near drowning victims. And
Yeah.
oh, it's
Yeah,
hard to
in the
watch.
ward.
Yeah.
It's in a pediatric ward, yeah.
Oh, dude, I thought you were talking about you just came out of the closet as a Mormon, bro.
No. That was my pharmacy pediatric
Okay,
rotation.
pediatric ward.
Yeah.
Pediatric ward.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, if you go back 150 years or so ago, the family sizes were huge, but the size of that family after everyone was 40 was not that much bigger than our normal family here.
That makes sense. Yeah. Mortality is much higher, infant mortality especially.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, everybody, please get your vaccines. I mean, the measles vaccine is going around Texas right now, and it is hitting unvaccinated people. And by the way, this is for me now. If you're born prior to 1968, they're suggesting you may want to also get a vaccine because the measles vaccine that they gave, I heard just.
I'm not saying that they don't work, but what my opinion on those is, like, I didn't get one. I didn't even so much as get a test for one. But like my deal with that is, like, they need to have some more scrutiny in place on those. It's not that they don't work, but it's that at least in one scenario, a false vaccine drive was done by the CIA in the Middle East and in Pakistan, to collect DNA on the public in order to find Osama.
What state are you living in?
I'm in Tennessee right now,
You're in
but
Tennessee.
I move all over.
Yeah.
I'm from my mom is from Mexico.
Well, be
My dad is
careful
from
because I kind of expect the measles to spread. The thing about the measles vaccine, this is just
I'm
that we're
pretty
getting
sure
more
that I've been vaccinated for that.
information about it currently. That
Yeah,
the
I mean,
spread
that's one
rate
of
is
the
somewhere
ones
around 90%. So if you get close to it,
the spread rate.
if you like spend a half an hour in a room with somebody with measles,
No,
your
I'm not
chance of
worried
getting
about
it
it.
is
I'm
somewhere
pretty
around
sure I'm probably
90%.
already protected.
So just be aware, especially those who have kids and relatives of kids.
Like, certain people are genetically, like, don't have any immunity built up to something like that.
Right. Yeah.
I think I'll be all right. I'm Scandinavian. We have, like, probably one of the best immune systems.
Booty
Now,
Tang.
about your topic.
Yes. Go for it.
Okay, if Jesus was alive today preaching a new religion,
And this is
would
assuming
would he
that
be
there was
considered a cult?
no Jesus back in his day.
Oh, okay, because the whole thing is wrong right there to begin with, because we believe in Jesus. We believe that he is alive still today, right?
This
So
is
he is still alive. That's why we follow.
It's a hypothesis. It's really a question related to when he was here 2,000 years ago. Was that a cult or a religion? But I thought it would be interesting to consider what would the world would be like how he would get reacted to if he appeared today. So if we still had the Old Testament and no New Testament,
No, he must have did something. He must have did something right though, because we're still here talking about him 2,000 years later, right? And he didn't really do anything famous with his life besides teach us what.
Yeah, but that's not the hypothesis. So what do you think about if he started today, basically, instead of 2,000 years ago? What do you think how society would react to him at this point?
Well, we're at a point in society where I believe we are approaching what the Bible considers to be the end times, right? Because there's a lot of scoffers out there. There's a lot of people that are into sexual immorality. They're okay with unaliving babies, and they're attacking the innocent in schools, right? By indoctrinating our children, right? And they're okay, find a way to make all this stuff make sense and be okay with them.
Wait a second. Attacking our kids in schools by indoctrinating them?
Yeah.
Or is that two subjects?
No, by indoctrinating them. Yep.
How is attacking kids in schools indoctrinating? I mean, that's basically people that are not right in the head.
Yeah,
Well,
like
that's
they
what I
are
think.
indoctrinating the kids, but like if you really look deeper into it, that's a Zionist, like that is the Christians who are actually doing the indoctrinating.
No, they're teaching them the sexual immorality, and we don't, as heterosexuals, we don't even discuss sex or sex issues with children, right? And
Well, we should, shouldn't
but they
we?
do.
I mean, there'd be
No,
a
I don't
lot
think.
less pregnancies if we discussed it.
No, we can discuss it when they become of age, but not when they're going to be thinking about that kind of stuff. But not 4, 5, 6, 8 years earlier, right? That's when they're still children. That's when they're innocent and they're thinking about playing with Barbies or cars,
Yeah.
right? That's when you just leave them alone.
I think as heterosexual behavior goes, I would probably agree with you. I would probably disagree related to trans issues because those are things that the trans kids realize when they're about
Oh man, there's no such thing as a trans
when they're
kid.
about 4 or 5.
No, there's no such thing as a trans kid.
Have you ever watched the series I Am Jazz?
Yeah, I did, and I know that his parents were supporting his ideology, and they were, for one, he had to get the idea from somebody,
He was
right?
4 years old, and he always thought
Yeah,
he was a girl.
yeah, yeah. So there's little boys that act like girls, and the parents don't. Okay, he's wearing a dress today, and he's running around, and he puts some of mom's makeup on, but they don't go around supporting him as a girl. They let him do his thing, and then all of a sudden, 2 days later, he's back to normal, and he's doing a normal child thing, right? Like, so by stopping them when they have
He never
these forms of episodes in their life, right? By stopping them, and then
Okay. I'm sorry. For some reason tonight, my head's not in the game for that particular issue.
There's a great.
Give me a second, Ralph.
Yeah.
It is so wrong to be putting down trans people on the basis of ignorance these days, and there's so much harm done in the name of it. And I'm sorry. It's just like I'm feeling I'm not in the right mood to defend it properly, and it should be defended against properly. Go ahead, Ralph.
So there's I can't remember his name, but I saw him on TikTok. I haven't seen him in a long time, but he's a biologist who does a lot of DNA stuff and stuff. He's had a long video talking about how DNA works, the XY chromosome, and how this impacts different people, and like how you can have XY or XXYY and all this different stuff. But even if your chromosomes, your XY is says male, that there can be other genes that can block the development of other stuff, which impacts. And they know with most people, like it affects more than just your genitalia. It also affects your brain development, and like different areas of the brain develop differently depending on this. So there's multiple things besides those chromosomes. There's other little proteins that adhere and bond elsewhere that can cause you to basically have female genitalia, but your brain development is the same as a male brain, or your steroids is stuff as a male, or vice versa, that you could have male genitalia, but everything else mentally and stuff develops the same way as a female does. And a large part of that is like those abstract cases are, maybe explain why the trans is. And I'm not saying we need to do tests or there's something wrong with them or anything like that. It's just like it's more than just someone is XXXY and they are male, female, and that's it. That's bullshit, because there's so much gray area. And I can't remember his name. I wish I remember his name, but he does a great video that explains all the detail of it. It's really great.
Well, if you think of it or you come across it, put it in chat someday when you're here.
Yo, can you say homosexual on here?
Yes. least I think you can. I
Okay,
don't know why you
so
wouldn't
it
be able to.
just boils down to basic barbarism and tribalism. It's like everything else.
Not
for a
everything
human.
boils down to barbarism and tribalism. I mean, the being
When you're talking
homosexual.
about humans, it does.
No. We are a combination of two things. We're a combination of our genetics and the culture, right? So what you're talking about would be the cultural piece of it, but we also are put together by the collection of genes that we have, and we're all different,
Yes,
right? So we all have
there are females who are more masculine and there are males who are more feminine, and
right,
there's crossover in between.
right.
I mean,
This-
but
yeah.
you can relate that to tribalism and barbarism, because when it comes to the topic of let's just say human sexuality in general, and then normally there's one aggressor and one person who is dominant over the other individual, which is tribalism and barbarism, and then you have the straight folks who are barbarizing the homosexual
But
ones.
that doesn't create homosexuality. That's a whole different topic.
What does an atheist believe in?
Okay, hold on one sec. Let hit the MK respond before, and then I'll come to you, the system. Go ahead, MK. You were going to say?
What would you say before that?
Nothing. Okay, we'll go to the system.
You said something about that doesn't define it.
Yeah, homosexuality and tribalism are two completely different issues. So let's go to the system. You said, what does an atheist believe in?
Yeah, where do y'all come from?
I come from my mother.
Yeah.
Where does your mother and father come from?
Well, we believe in evolution. Generally speaking, I mean, atheism is just the disbelief in gods, but generally, atheists also are scientific people who believe in evolution. They pull up an evolutionary tree, and you'll see where we go back to.
Transformed.
Right, I agree with you. I subscribe to the thing where I don't need to come up with a ridiculous story to tell a person that their ridiculous story is false, right?
Yeah.
Monkeys haven't transformed into people. They're all around.
Well, monkeys are our cousins.
That's not what evolution is.
Monkeys are our cousins. We're not from monkeys. We are from a common ancestor that created both monkeys and humans.
Let me ask you a question.
Right.
Are you a liberal or a Republican?
Most atheists that I've run into are liberals, probably about 90%.
There you go. I have nothing to discuss with you.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Take care.
Bye.
Yeah.
That is like ignorance incarnate.
Do you want to the system? Do you want to?
A point.
Do you want to?
Atheists are liberals. Period.
Okay.
This is guys.
You know Jesus was a liberal.
Barbarian.
Okay, hold on. System, do you want to understand us?
No, I don't want to understand you.
Well, then what are you doing here?
Yeah,
he's a straight up barbarian.
You talk about evolution and monkeys, but monkeys are here.
All right.
And they haven't.
We
didn't come.
Monkeys.
Did you hear what I said?
We come from monkeys, and you're talking about.
We don't come from monkeys. We come from a common ancestor with monkeys.
That's our cousins. I mean, do you hear yourself talk? I mean, you sound so stupid.
Have you?
Yeah, it's because you know nothing of the science. Like nothing.
My
You
gosh.
obviously don't, because you're sitting here saying we come from monkeys. How come monkeys are still here? Like that is the. I'm sorry. I'm not going to use ad hom attacks, but like
that's our cousins.
Do you realize
how does he know that?
The system.
How does he know that?
Hold on.
Genetics.
Do you realize that if it sounds like you're a Christian, you believe in God and creation, and if Jesus was here today, he would be considered a flaming liberal, super ass liberal.
No, he wouldn't.
Yes, he would.
Because you don't believe in homosexuality, transgender.
He doesn't say anything about homosexuality.
Yes, it does. Leviticus.
Jesus does not say a thing about homosexuality.
Yeah, Leviticus is in the Old Testament, bud.
Oh, you don't believe the whole Bible?
I don't.
No, that's not what I said, is it? You said Jesus is against homosexuality. That's not true. I know my Bible very well, sir.
Okay. So you said that's in the Old Testament. Do you not think that human beings?
That's before Jesus, bud.
It doesn't matter.
Really the only
Human
reason,
beings
I mean,
were
for that is just to
were
sell it to the
made
pagans
in the Old
who they
Testament.
converted. Which the pagans are barbarians.
What's
The
your point?
pagans totally.
What's
the
my
pagans
point?
Totally,
Is you don't believe in
were
the Old
barbarians
Testament.
against homosexuals.
I didn't say that. Well, I don't, but
Yeah. There you go. That's why I don't. Hey, atheists,
I don't believe in any of it.
That's fine. I don't care.
Okay. So,
but here's the
Then
thing.
we're here to discuss different points of
atheists
view.
don't believe
so
in
the system. Can I
anything.
explain it to you?
They think that monkeys are their cousins. That's how stupid you sound.
Have you? Do you understand the chart? The chart that's up here that I put up. Do you understand this chart? You see the
No, I don't look at that because that's stupid. That's the
Okay.
evolutionists.
How far in school did you get, sir?
I got my bachelor's degree.
In what subject? You don't mind me asking? You don't have to answer if you don't want. So it's up to you.
I have my bachelor's degree.
In what subject?
And you're literally saying
It's
evidence
okay. If he
is
doesn't want to know,
stupid.
if he doesn't want to say, he doesn't have to. It's okay.
No, dude. This dude.
But
This
I mean,
dude's got
I'm
a
not.
trade school
Hey,
degree.
I can have my. I could be in preschool and know this shit that apes are not my cousins because there's apes, monkeys, and shit all around us, and they are not turning into humans.
Well, they're on a different evolutionary branch. From about 5 million years and back to, like you can see on the chart there, back to about a dozen million
you don't
years.
have to be a brain.
still here?
You don't
Do
have
your
to be a
cousins
brain.
actually? Do your actual cousins stop existing because you exist?
I mean,
do your cousins stop existing because you exist?
That's a good point.
Our cousins.
Your actual.
All I know is
human cousins. Do they stop existing because you exist?
Over millions of years.
Yep.
Monkeys are still here, and evolution.
Evolution does not. So
Evolution.
The common,
you guys,
the common
he literally
misconception
thinks that we
is
came
that
from monkeys. Like, there's no point.
Yeah,
we
that's
came
the
from
common.
monkeys. That's
the
how,
common
hey,
misconception.
y'all been watching too much Big Bang Theory. That's
the
all.
common misconception system is that the goal of evolution, that evolution has a goal to make humans.
I like
and that
Sheldon
everything
too,
is
but
evolving to become
I don't believe
humans. And that's a fallacy. It's not that. That's just survival.
I mean, you keep believing that. Go ahead. But hey,
can I ask you something?
Here's what Christian people and don't understand. Here's what they don't understand. There is no hell.
Correct.
Okay? There is no hell.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
And the reason why is because you live forever or you die, you perish. And
live forever?
Christian.
Do you mean live forever as a living person?
No, Christian preachers have adopted Greek mythology.
Yeah, I was about to say you're talking paganism.
Yeah.
So if we're to believe what you're saying, then why should we believe anything they say? If they're adopting this paganism that you're talking about, why should we believe any of it?
That was the original belief. That was the original belief, which morphed into Judaism, which
run with that,
into
and
Christianity.
They are scared. A lot of atheists.
I'm not scared.
Are scared about hell, so they don't believe in the Bible. They will
I'm
reject
not scared.
God.
I'll tell you that much.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying.
Why would I be scared of hell if I don't believe in it?
Right.
A lot of atheists were Christians.
True.
Okay.
Well,
what does that
you're
tell
talking
you?
to one now.
Okay.
Yeah. What does that tell you?
But they get scared because they say a lot of people are like Christians think, which, hey.
I don't know of any atheist that is scared of hell.
If
we were to subscribe, so let me ask you a question.
That's a Christian method to convince people to believe in a God that doesn't exist.
Okay, so
Even
let's
so,
just say,
like,
for example, that hell is real, which I don't believe it is. I think you're going to get burned up and you're going to be away from God. That is hell. Okay.
That would be
okay,
awesome
so if we,
because the God of the Bible is absolutely horrible.
Okay. Okay. So
if we were going to subscribe to your notion that they're scared, right? Let's say we just believe this, then why, if we were scared to go to hell, would we not become more devout and follow God to go to heaven rather than just abandoning it? Like, how does that make sense to you?
well, because a lot of atheists think that hell is they're going to get burned up forever, so they just say,
Okay, then why not follow God?
Where do you get this belief, though, a lot of atheists, if you don't know anything about us?
"Oh, I'm a Seventh-day Adventist."
I mean, I asked you if you wanted to know, and you said you did.
Do you know about a Seventh-day Adventist?
I think this one's
no, I don't.
Partaking of the Jesus blood too much.
I don't believe a lot of what Christians say.
So again, I ask you about atheists. Why do you claim to know the stuff about atheists?
You don't believe in anything. You think the evolution. You just
how about this? How about a sentence where you ask, "What do you believe?" and then you respond to that, and then you tell us what you believe, as opposed to trying to tell us what's in our heads.
I believe in Jesus.
Okay.
And then God. And then you believe in.
How about not telling me what I believe and asking me?
I just asked you a question.
Yeah, a question is not you believe. Okay, you talk about you and you ask about me or the other.
Evolutionists.
Do you really think that evolution is just like a thing somebody came up with at this point?
I mean, okay, so that's why I ask y'all, what do atheists believe? And most of y'all say evolution.
What we believe is there's a hundred probably categories of topics. So give us a category if in terms of where we came from, we believe evolution. That is not related to atheism.
What do you believe? Not your viewers, just you.
Related to what subject?
Where do you come from?
Where I came from? Okay, yeah. I believe we don't know how the universe began. We know that the universe is here. We know that life, it appears that life came from inorganic to organic, eventually reaching a first cell. And from there, we know evolution going forward, all the way from the first cells to modern day complex animals and insects and science and textbooks and 2,000 years of discovery and learning.
Who told you that?
I just answered that sentence.
No. But what are the people that told you that?
School, books.
So you believe a book?
Do you believe?
Just like Christians
research.
Wow.
Evidence.
Oh my God,
Wow.
He got you there, bud. He really got you on that one.
I mean, it's the same thing, bro. It's a book.
It's a book written 2,000 years ago, as opposed to a scientific textbook, which has thousands of years of continual progress and added knowledge and moving the needle forward every time we learn something new.
And we actually know who wrote it, so that there's that too.
Yes, that's actually attributed to an author that you can research.
We know who wrote the Bible too. It says it.
No, we don't.
Okay.
There are many, many books of the Bible that there is no known author. They were written completely anonymously, and we have no idea who wrote them.
Why?
Habit. That's great.
Let me ask you a question. Why is the Bible the only book? It's the highest selling book in ever existence.
Because it's a big cult.
Making money.
Because it's a big cult.
Cults work. Cults work.
Here's the cult. Yeah.
That's true. Because they work.
But this guy with his glasses on believes in a book from
What
science.
is his deal with your glasses? That's like the fourth time he's mentioned your glasses.
I wear glasses.
Yeah, 4 eyes. I mean, really.
So I wear glasses too.
Hey,
But he listens
I've got
to
6.
the same
These are
books.
progressives. I have at least 6 eyes.
Yeah,
6
he
eyes.
listens to the same books and he believes them.
So can I ask you something about your Bible that you believe it's the absolute word of God, right?
But see, here's the difference. Most Christians nowadays, I probably won't agree with what they say. So go ahead.
No, you didn't answer my question.
Hell. Nobody's in heaven right now.
Do you believe the Bible is the absolute word of God?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Okay. And how do you reconcile like things like God, I don't even know how to say some of the things that are in there. Let's
Sodom
pick
and Gomorrah. Sodom and Gomorrah. Do you know why God killed everybody in that?
Okay.
area?
I wanted to ask you a question, and I'll use the Adam and Eve story in this one.
Sorry.
What's the language?
You can't say that on TikTok.
I will use the Adam and Eve story within the Bible. So,
man and woman.
We're told we are told
transgender.
We are told that damn it, I have to go. I'm sorry. Fuck.
Do you believe?
I wish I had more time. I really do. Thank you for having me.
See you next time. Take care.
Let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
All right. Oh, I didn't know. I heard a lot of
He had to jump. He had to something.
Okay. So let me ask you a question. Sodom and Gomorrah, right?
Okay.
People say God unalived everybody in that city, town, whatever. Why do you think he did that?
I think it's a character in a story, so I actually haven't put that much thought into it. Why do you think he did that?
Well, because the people of Sodom and Gomorrah were doing the wrong things.
Okay. So much for free will.
I can't say it on TikTok.
So much for the allowance of free will then.
It's free will.
If you think that Sodom and Gomorrah was about sodomy, it wasn't.
Okay. So what does the Bible say different?
What does the Bible say different? It says it was about that they were sinful and evil, and it mentions, the only thing it really mentions is that people were willing to give up that the honorable good person was willing to give up his daughter to other people to get raped.
Okay.
And thought that was okay. And that was the honorable and good person.
So let me speak on that. Do you know that if you go to Gomorrah right now, brimstone is laying on the ground, 96% pure, and it can be burned. And if
you're talking about sulfur, I know what you're talking about. That's and that's a huge area. That's a natural occurrence. We know why that occurs in that area. It has nothing to do with a city or a paracity being destroyed in there. It's much bigger than that.
It's the only place in the world that does that.
And it's not in the location of a single city or a parasities. It's a whole region.
It's in Gomorrah. Do you find brimstone in your town?
Do we have the geological conditions to produce that in my town? No.
Okay. Do you find it in any other town in the world? Only Gomorrah.
We find it in that region of the world. Do you find the Grand Canyon in your town? No. The Grand Canyon is where the Grand Canyon is because geological conditions were there for that. Do you find the Alps somewhere else in the world? No, you find the Alps where the Alps are.
Anything.
Because the geological conditions are there for that.
Gomorrah, there's brimstone laying on the ground. It's real.
It's sulfur.
You're talking about sulfur, not brimstone. I know what you're talking about.
Okay, sulfur, whatever. It's 96% pure. And you can burn it and it lights on fire. And it's laying on the ground.
Just like trees.
It's the only place in the world.
Again, it's not a city or even a pair of cities in size. It's an entire region. It's spread over a huge area.
And it's spread over a huge area, and that's what God did. Sodom and Gomorrah. All right. Let me go back to Genesis.
And okay, in Genesis, God created Adam, and then he created Eve. Or if you go to the other Genesis story, he created man and woman at the same time. So which one is it?
Say that again. What?
In Genesis 1, the story in Genesis 1, God created man and then saw he didn't have a suitable mate. And then he, tried the animals, and none of the animals were good. And then he fashioned Eve out of the side of Adam, or the rib of Adam, depending on the translation you use. And then in Genesis 2, however, it starts the creation story over again, because it's actually the earlier creation story. It's been dated earlier than Genesis 1 story. The Genesis 2 story says he just created man and woman. It doesn't have that chain of events.
Here's the problem with nowadays.
So there's two different stories of creation that occur in different chronological orders with different details.
All right. Here's the problem with Christians nowadays that are reading the Bible, all right, and atheists. There are a lot of interpretations for the Bible. All right. You got to find the right one. All right. Because it takes out words. If you look it up.
How do we know the right one? I mean,
It takes it out.
I want to read this real quick, because I looked it up while you were talking. Surface sulfur deposits are primarily found near volcanic regions and hot springs, particularly along the Pacific Rim of Fire, Chile, Indonesia, Japan, Gulf of Mexico coast, and evaporate formations in Eastern Europe and Western Asia. So wherever you've got volcanic activity, you're going to have the potential for surface sulfur.
Okay, so, sir.
So, yeah.
It's not 96% pure.
So you're gonna die on this hill, huh?
Look it up. Look it up.
You're gonna die on this hill. Okay.
Yeah, I will.
All right.
Die on the hill.
So you found a big fire ring, and then that proves that Bigfoot must have camped there. You're gonna die on that.
Yeah, Bigfoot. But y'all believe that you come from a monkey.
No, so, we said 3 times. We said 3 times. There's a difference between. Dude, you gotta listen to the end of. You gotta listen to the end of sentences. Do you not want to ever learn anything new?
We both sound crazy.
I have a rebuttal to that. Say, why are there places in the world where we can find 94% pure sulfur, or 95% pure sulfur?
Where?
Why?
Where?
All over the world. Look it up.
I'll look it up.
Volcanic activity.
I've never. Hey,
I typed "Where on Earth are surface sulfur deposits?" and that's the answer I got, which makes sense. I mean, it wouldn't make sense that it would just be in one spot.
Y'all say, okay, so atheists say that we come from monkeys.
No.
Right?
No, how many times do we have to stop telling you this? Do we have to stop saying, dude, stop. How many times do we have to say this? We did not come from monkeys. We have a common ancestor. It's just like I did not come from my dog sitting next to me. There are common ancestors way the hell back for both of us. Probably some little mousy type thing. Okay? We did not come from monkeys.
Yeah, because there's monkeys still here and they haven't evolved.
Okay, monkeys were not here 5 million years ago. Neither were we.
Okay.
It's a branch, and one went to humans and the other went to monkeys.
Where do we come from? That's what I'm asking you.
We come from our ancestors, and our ancestors came from their ancestors. And over millions and millions and millions of years, there's slow, gradual genetic changes that happen over generations in large populations, and we come from our ancestors.
He says in his picture, there's a gorilla there's a human.
That's present day, yes. At the top of that graph is present day.
Yeah. So you think there is no God and you come from an ape?
We do not come from monkeys. We do not come from apes.
What do you believe? Where do your morals come from? Where do your...
Whoa.
Nothing.
Change of subject completely.
I mean, where do your morals come from?
Okay, we're going over to morals. Go ahead, Ralph. Get him started.
Paul had something to say.
Yeah, where do your morals come from? If you're
hold on, System. I think Paul had something to say on your last topic. Go ahead, Paul.
Well, I disagree that we don't come from monkey. We sort of are monkeys. If you go back on the real tree, okay, you know, phylogenetically, we're actually a particular type of monkey, you know, from the simiiforms.
Yeah. We're in the same family.
Catarines. Well, we're actually a monkey. Okay, where it's
just like Christians believe in Greek mythology. They think there's a hell. There is no hell.
All right, so on to your moral debate. What is your source of morals?
My source of morals from the Bible.
All right, so you're telling me that, and you, I'm supposing
10 Commandments.
You think that the Bible is an objective source of morality?
How do we?
Yeah.
Can I ask? I know I just got up here, but I was in the comments a little while. I just don't understand how we went from like we're scattered everywhere.
Okay, so
that's because every time he loses a point, he changes the subject.
Thou shalt not unalive people. Do you think that's good in the Bible?
Does that exist in our historical record from societies that weren't biblical or had any relation
I'm just asking you a question. Do you think that's a good thing?
Do I think it's morally good not to unalive people?
It's a good rule.
I think
Thou shalt not
answer this question.
But that's not an answer to my question of where. So your morals, you're saying, has come from the Bible.
Thou shalt not steal.
Do you claim that's an objective source of morality?
You're not answering my question. Thou shalt not steal. Do you think that's a good one?
Yes, and that exists outside of biblical influence.
Okay.
Same, because that is a common value that we hold as humans. It has nothing to do with Christianity or the Bible or the Ten Commandments.
Could I ask you just a couple of things?
But you follow it. You still follow it.
Well, I think if I
System,
might,
could I ask you a couple of things?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So, do you take the Bible to be the Word of God?
Yes.
Do you take the Word of God to come from God's mind?
Yes.
So, all things in the Bible are subjective to God's mind. So, you don't believe in an objective, like, grounding. So,
what does that mean?
I mean,
it means there's no objective morality.
But see,
and the fact that in the Bible it says you have common elements with other societies outside the Bible. Those are the ones you're bringing up. But there's also the elements that we all agree on are morally not okay that the Bible says are okay, such as slavery or wearing mixed fabrics or eating shellfish or eating unclean animals, stuff like that. There's lots of things that the Bible claims are morally not okay that we say is morally okay, or definitely not okay, stuff like slavery, for instance. So the Bible is a bad moral standard.
Okay.
And it's not objective because it's subjective. The other thing is that different people read the Bible, the same source code, and if it was an objective source of truth, then everyone reading it would read it and interpret it the same way, and there would be no question about it. That's what an objective source is. Like there's no wiggle room, there's no interpretation, there's no some people think this is true and that's false, and some people read different ways. That's what an objective source is. And the Bible is not that, because you have denominations out the wazoo that believe different things are morally okay and not okay.
And guess what? I don't believe in any denominations like Christian, I don't believe in going to church on Sunday. Because guess who did change that? Constantine in history. Do you know who that is?
Yes, I know who Constantine is.
Okay. So Christians.
But what does that have to do with anything? I mean, I'm just talking about.
I'm saying the same thing. You're talking about Christians.
I'm talking about the book.
That are.
I'm talking about the Bible.
Pulpit. No, it doesn't align with what the Bible says.
The Bible says that slavery
hell
is okay.
not a thing.
The Bible says slavery is okay.
Okay.
And I don't accept that. I don't believe it's true reality. It does talk about for men not to take the male position with another male in sexual acts, but it talks nothing about female and female. It doesn't really address homosexuality. It talks about male taking an authoritative position with another male.
And you can
sexual act. But it doesn't talk about homosexuality.
It does. Because I just told you that there are many books or Bibles that have changed that. They take out words.
And any of them. You can go back to the Masoretic text. You can go back to the Septuagint or earliest copies of it, and it's all the same thing.
Okay.
So, do you have an older copy of the Bible that all the biblical scholars don't have?
I don't have an older Bible, but I have a New King James Bible.
Right, which was edited to meet the dogma of what they wanted to put out. That's why the female apostle that's mentioned is mentioned disparagingly and not mentioned as a female apostle, but someone who's with the apostles in the King James Version. Whereas in the ancient text, it's very clear if you go back to the original translation of the oldest text we have, that was a female apostle.
Who is that, Ralph?
Junia.
So when God made, and you read in the Bible, male and female, was there transgender in there?
Well, God didn't create us, so in the Bible, no.
Holy
in reality,
shit, he got us there. We lost.
Please do not let this guy steer the conversation.
Also getting whiplash.
I'm just saying.
As long as you notice the shift, it's okay.
Yeah.
Change the subject.
Yeah, but y'all don't talk about it.
I mean, if you go with the biblical story of God created Adam and Eve, if you go with the biblical story, God created Adam and Eve,
right?
And we all descended from that Adam and Eve, and He's guiding creation, guiding people's lives. Then He did not make us male and female, because there are people born today that have both genitalia, that have all kinds of different. And we can see that in reality today.
Sin.
No, it's because of genetic.
Yes,
it's genetics.
It's
because of the
mother and father having sexual.
No, I'm not even gonna let you finish that sentence. It's because of a deviation in the way DNA is manufactured. Okay, and if it is something that can be carried forward, then it's just carried forward from the previous generation. Because we know, for example, there's a correlation of having more gay kids in the family if there are gay parents before. It's not huge, frankly. It's like 20% or something like that. So that indicates there's multiple factors going on.
Even if you take his understanding of it, then God is letting the devil do this, right?
You're not letting. It's free will, brother.
It's not free will. Genetics has nothing to do with free will. Genetic replication has nothing to do with free will.
Let's say a whole country defies God.
The system. When your parents got together, they did not. The system. When your parents got together, no, I'm not. If you're going to say stupid things, when your parents come together, they did not get to control which sperm met that egg, and
You don't
frankly, which
think that
egg was
they
released. So there's no free will involved in DNA replication.
My parent and my father, my mom and my father sinned just like every other parent and father sinned.
People make people do good things and bad
they-
things. That's
and
human.
there's
That's
bad stuff that happens.
Okay,
Just
so
like, let me explain to you. All
so
right.
are your sins passed down to your descendants?
Yeah.
So Jesus was not without sin because he was born from Mary.
That's at the very beginning of the Bible.
Yeah, well, that's at the beginning of the New Testament, but Mary begat Jesus. Mary sinned, or her parents sinned, or her parents' parents sinned. And you can go back to Adam and Eve if you want, but at some point there was sin, so Jesus had sin. So he's not sinless.
Jesus didn't have sin.
Well, that just contradicts what you just said.
Because he's not from this world. He's not from here.
He was born, according to the Bible, he was born from Mary after she was draped by God.
I don't understand what you're saying, so nuh-uh.
Okay. So you believe in climate change, right?
another one.
Yeah.
This is going to be.
I just got up here. How many times has he been pivoting like this the entire time he's been up?
Every time
No,
he
I
doesn't
just
like.
answered
This
it.
is like a drinking
I'm
game,
just saying.
but it's just coffee.
No,
so.
I'm going to my point that people think like all the stuff.
It's entertaining.
The host with his gray hair. I'm bald headed. He's got glasses.
Does your
Can't
bald
see
head
20.
affect climate change? Is that why you brought it up?
No, listen.
Are you?
He's gray
Yeah,
hair.
the
I got
sunlight's
bald
like
head.
reflecting off your bald head and
Oh
burning
my
a hole
God,
in the ozone.
No, listen. He's wearing glasses, not 20/20 vision. He's got gray hair. I'm bald headed. I wear glasses. Do you not think that sin has a part of it?
No.
Okay. So you think that there are other people out there that don't have what you have?
Do you know the Pope wears glasses?
The Pope.
You know, the Pope is struggling to survive.
Yeah, I know.
So
And-
I think your glasses theory can go away.
No, I'm just saying it's sin.
Why do you think it's sin and just not normal nature?
You know,
I mean-
okay, so we can go back in your life and my life and the stuff that we've done in our lifetime and the sin that we've done. And
Okay, what about the
that's the
3-year-old?
reason why you are gray haired with glasses.
I think
and
it would
that's the
be
reason
better to
why
blame it on
I
my
am
great grandfather. That
The
way I
young
can be
lady
that way I can be clear of all.
Believe this, and I should have been gone long ago. Like I should have been, I should have been torn apart, man.
Oh my gosh.
Well, you know who did that? God saved you.
Apparently not. I'm here as an atheist on
No,
TikTok.
God put that.
Apparently not.
It's called
God
free
put
will.
that
bro.
in us anyways. I mean,
It's called free will.
Apparently
this
he's
is
not
not
paying
free
attention
will.
then. Oh.
Why you can go to any pure
we call
Christian
that a
society.
cop-out.
Things are gonna change.
If you go to the Puritans and stuff, or Amish,
Not
or whatever,
Puritans.
any,
You don't have
any
to- hey,
good Christian
you're not
society,
gonna-
and you can
you
find
don't
that
have
they
to
have
be
longer lifespans. They have better vision and everything by statistical, way out there that it's shown, right?
You ain't gotta be perfect. It's not Puritans. He wants you to be like Jesus. God does.
So he wants you to accept the neighbors,
Do you
invite those
think-
who are poor and needy, and help them, like all the immigrants fleeing Venezuela and stuff.
Okay,
And we
so-
should welcome them into the country.
That's
Oh,
more
wait a minute.
politics.
Wait a minute, he's liberal.
No.
No, that's
Okay,
Jesus.
so violent
That's
criminals
Jesus.
that unalive people and grapes people are immigrants.
oh no, he's fallen
I'm
for
not
the
a
Fox
liberal.
News
Oh, my
propaganda.
gosh.
By any
Oh,
means,
no.
but I do agree that Jesus was definitely 100% liberal.
Okay.
Immigrants commit less
But you ain't-
crime than U.S. citizens.
Yeah.
Less.
Y'all don't believe in Jesus, but y'all are talking about Jesus.
Well, because
being a
he's so influential, because his beliefs are so influential. That's why. And people try to change the laws
You
based on it.
can't talk about Jesus
No,
if you
we
don't
can't
believe.
because we can accept that somebody named Jesus existed and he may have said
He
some
did
of these
exist.
things. So we can still quote things that may have he may have been a prophetic teacher, just like Buddha and other teachers. We can still quote them, but we don't have to accept the supernatural without evidence.
Can I talk about unicorns?
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I can
go
talk about
ahead.
unicorns,
Just like
right?
the host thought that he came from a monkey.
Listen, I can talk
Hey,
about
I
unicorns,
still
right?
do. No,
Dude.
ancestors.
We are great apes.
I put up the simple chart, and
you are
you're
a
not
great
getting the
ape.
simple chart.
You are a great
Y'all been
ape.
watching. Just like Christians, listen to me. Just like Christians think that hell is real.
You believe you came from a magic man who waved a wand and said blah.
Hell is not
It's all
real.
ridiculous.
You either live forever or you perish. It says it. The soul is not immortal. Nowhere in the Bible does it say it's immortal.
Because there is no soul.
Take a minute here and pray.
But Christians preach
know.
that on the pulpit. There is nobody's in heaven right now. You know why? Because it says in the Bible.
Because
no one's in heaven.
Doesn't exist.
I will see Jesus come back.
So is there like
the
no bald
sky.
people in heaven right now?
Do what?
Do they all have nice long flowing hair like Samson?
Okay. Every eye will see Jesus come back.
Well, you guys have been saying that for like 2,000 years.
Okay, so every eye means every eye. I mean, every eye. The people that are dead, there's nobody.
All of them?
So how will the people on the other side of the earth see somebody like if he's coming? God. Like how will they see him? Because last time I checked, you can't see something from the other side of the earth.
Dude, he's gonna give all of us X-ray vision, dude. It's gonna be so sick.
No, he's gonna be on TikTok.
Do not give him an opening to flat Earth, please.
Who said that? Because you're still living in the world. You think?
Do you believe the earth is flat?
See
somebody. That's what I said. Please don't give him an opening to argue flat Earth.
I mean, who's gonna see Jesus on this side of the map?
Probably somebody that might be on some kind of chemical.
Oh my, dude! Every eye will see. This is,
and this is what they said 30 years ago in 1980 when I was in this type of religious cult. Like Jesus is coming back in 1986. 80 reasons why.
Listen to that.
Like they keep on saying.
Guess
Jesus
what?
The
Bible doesn't say
Jesus is coming back.
Jesus actually said that there would be people living during that time period that would see the second coming. That there were people who would still be alive while he was speaking.
Is that not true?
During the second coming.
There are going to be people that are alive that see the second coming.
No,
man.
People back then.
No, the people he was talking to, that some of the people he was talking to right then would still be alive. That would happen within his generation.
Yeah.
And it
didn't happen.
It's going to happen. He never said this guy believed.
Can I ask how much you've had to
Hey, System, do you think maybe you need to go take like a hearing exam? Do you work in like construction or like welding or?
Not for atheists.
Maybe you should.
Trust me.
The worst part about it is he hasn't actually put a
You
single
don't
thought
believe
to
in anything.
anything that we have told him.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 11. Add that up. Nobody in here believes in anything. You don't believe in anything. You think that you came from a monkey.
What are you talking about? Again,
He's still on the monkey shit. Like he's not.
Yeah,
even,
you do.
No,
evolution.
Curious George is my G.
Yeah,
right?
I know.
He is my cousin.
You watch it.
So from your version of the Bible, the New King James Version, assuredly I say to you, there are some standing here, who shall not taste death till they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom.
What'd you say? Go ahead.
Assuredly I say
really
to you,
might
there
need
are
that
some
hearing
standing
exam.
here who shall not taste unalivement till they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom.
Oh, what scripture is that?
That is Matthew 16:28, New King James Version.
All right. So, what are you telling me?
I'm telling you that Jesus said that the kingdom of God would come during the generation of people living then. That Paul preached on that same principle, that the apostles and everything that was going on was on that same idea that the kingdom of God was nigh, as in would be within their generation, that there was no reason to make systematic changes to governments or society or make any big changes to how things were going, because it was happening within a generation. And this is why Paul preached not to procreate, that sexual activity should be refrained from, because you need to spend all your time spreading the word of God, because it was coming within a generation. But that didn't happen.
So, a generation, how long is that?
Assuredly, I say to you, there are some standing here who shall not taste unalivement till they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. So, within their lifetime.
Okay. So, you don't think that that's going to happen in another lifetime?
No, because he says it has to happen within that lifetime. Not another lifetime, not a future lifetime, not another life.
Do you know that God works outside of what the world is?
So if you're saying that I can't trust those words because the words have no meaning, because they're meaningless, because the meaning doesn't mean anything, then why would I trust any word in the Bible? Because it's all untrue and untrustable.
So when you say that thou shalt not kill, you think that's a bad
Unalive.
Oh, unalive. You think that's
I'm saying that is a shared human concept that was shared and with other societies that had no biblical or Judaism influence. And those are common laws that were held throughout society, because without laws and morality concepts like that leads to decline and people unaliving and not surviving. And not surviving does not lead to further generations. So the societies that established morality are the ones who survived, and they maintain these moral principles, and they continued surviving, and here we are today.
So if I tell London that he needs to use TikTok for, like, London, you need to use TikTok, and he uses TikTok tomorrow, does that mean he's following me?
What?
Yeah. It existed beforehand, and then he came and said, do this thing. That does not mean that we are following him.
Thou shalt not steal. Is that a bad thing?
Oh, Jesus.
Again, a common principle held by many societies that had no biblical influence.
Yeah, just because colloquially
Where'd that come
people
from?
uphold to
y'all say you don't believe in God, but you still
system. just because people colloquially follow a moral standard does not mean that it's an objective moral standard.
Do you keep the Sabbath holy?
I wouldn't use words like
it's not Sunday, it's Saturday.
Do you keep the Sabbath holy?
It's not Sunday, it's Saturday.
Do you keep the Sabbath holy?
Yeah, Constantine changed it.
So I don't care about what day of the week is. Do you keep the Sabbath holy? You don't do any work on the day at all?
No. Saturday is the Sabbath.
Yes, Saturday is the Sabbath. You're absolutely correct.
Christians changed it.
I don't care what Christians changed it. You're telling me honestly you do no work on Saturday, on the Sabbath, that you keep it holy.
No, I don't.
Okay. There's the truth.
Oh,
and why don't you use that instead of thou shalt not steal? Because that's part of the 10 Commandments as well.
Yeah. It says, remember the Sabbath and keep it holy.
Right. Do you know what that means, to keep it holy?
Yeah. Christians change that. You know who did that?
Do you know? I'm not talking about changing it. I'm talking about, do you know what it means in Judaism to keep the Sabbath holy?
Christians, Catholics, Constantine changed the day from Sunday or Saturday.
That doesn't
to Sunday.
mean anything.
Yes, it does.
What he's asking you.
Huge. God said he rested on the 7th day. You go on to the dictionary and it's Saturday is the Sabbath.
So do you keep your Saturday holy?
It's Friday night sundown to Saturday sundown.
Okay, that doesn't answer my question.
That did answer your question.
No, I asked if you kept it holy.
I just kept it holy. Friday night sundown to Saturday night sundown.
Let's assume that he does keep it holy then.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, because I don't think that.
Yeah, he's
not
not
get a lot through his bald head.
No,
because of the sin and the climate change.
My bald head.
I said earlier, the man has not given any thought to anything that we have said to him.
All right, go ahead. Keep on talking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, bald head.
Am I wrong? The system? Am I wrong?
What'd you say?
I said you have not given any thought to any argument anybody has given you in this entire time.
Yeah, like it literally took me 2 seconds to dismantle like your objective morality argument, and then you kind of just pivoted to climate change.
To tell you that look up Constantine, and they changed it. He was a
Who
Roman
cares about it being changed? No one cares.
Saying that we came from monkeys, without saying that, can you repeat one argument that we've?
What do you believe in, James?
Jesus Christ. I don't want to do it, you guys. I'm sorry.
Yeah, what do you believe in? Where do you come from? You're not going to fucking answer me.
Evolution.
Abiogenesis and evolution.
You think you come from a monkey?
Explain the birds and the, hey, do we need to explain the birds and the bees to you?
No, you ain't got to. But where does
your
the
parents
first human come from? Atheist?
Evolution. It's that
there
simple.
You go. There you go. You think you come from a monkey?
Wait, the system. I have a question for you. All right.
And there's never the first human. There's no such thing.
That's why James.
Wait,
has
system.
No clue.
System. Can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
So, if there was like an atheist baby in front of you in oncoming traffic, and it like asked you to like, denounce your Christianity, or else it would run into a car or something, or just like sit there and get ran over by a car. Would you do that? Would you denounce your Christianity?
Denounce my Christianity to
to save this atheist baby.
No.
How about to save any baby?
Are you stupid?
Yeah. Wait, what if you were?
What kind of stupid question is that?
Yeah. Wait, what if you were like skydiving and like you were with an atheist baby skydiving, and the atheist baby was holding the parachute's like eject like thing, like the little chute. And it was holding the cord to like pull it, and
that's how
no, the system. I'm not done. I'm not done. The system.
You gotta sign.
The system. I am not done. The system. I am not done.
You gotta be 18 or older.
You're with this atheist baby skydiving, and you guys are falling out of the sky. All right, you're falling out of the sky with this atheist baby, and it's holding the cord to the parachute, and it says, "I will not pull this cord until you denounce your Christianity." Would you denounce your Christianity to save the atheist baby?
Atheist baby can't parachute from a.
Well, no. This is a special atheist baby. It's an atheist baby.
Okay, yeah.
Wait a minute. The system. You're using logic. Wait a minute. You're using your brain this once on the atheist baby, but you're not going to use it when it comes to science. Or
are you using your brain when you think that you come from a monkey?
No.
What? Because the atheist baby is also telling you that we all come from monkeys. The atheist baby.
Evolution. The first person here.
I mean, you want to go further back than that. The system.
Yeah.
You really want to go further back. You want to say you came from a cell? You came from a
cell? Oh my God! From a plant.
The atheist baby is asking you to worship Charles Darwin.
Right. Use the Samuel 15 verse 3.
Is it a plant? Is it an atheist? You don't believe in anything.
The atheist baby does. Yeah, the atheist believe oh my God, the atheist baby believes in nothing. It doesn't even believe in reality.
You don't. You are on this world. And you don't believe in it.
I'm on the world with the atheist baby.
Sad for you.
Are you saving the baby system or not?
Are you saving the baby?
Answer that question. Because the atheist baby would not be up there.
Okay, how about
you can't go on an airplane and skydive if you are a baby.
Do we have to like really explain hypothetical situations to you?
That's the system. Okay, so let me speak in hypothetical terms.
Oh my gosh.
Wait, I got another hypothetical for you, system. I have another hypothetical for you. All right. So let's say that you're in a baseball field. No, this is a different one, all right?
But
let's say you were in a baseball field and a pitcher threw a baseball at you, and you're there at plate with a bat, and you know that you can hit this, like ball and just fucking send it. But you know that the entire stadium is filled with atheist babies, and if you absolutely crack and send this ball into a home run, you're gonna obliterate some atheist baby. Would you do it? Would you send out that ball for a home run?
I'm not gonna do a hypothetical.
Okay, so look, not hypothetical.
That was like such a defeated answer. Come on, you gotta absolutely send it.
Would you sacrifice your faith to save a baby's life?
My faith?
Yeah.
To save who?
Yeah. You have to denounce the Christianity for the atheist baby.
Would you so you would unalive a baby just to...
Who did that?
Let's say you.
No, who did that?
You did.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, that's what the question is.
No.
That's the two options. Keep my faith or unalive this baby.
The atheist baby.
All right.
Yeah. Which is it?
Would you, let me ask you a question.
The atheist baby is bald like you.
Can we get off the hypothetical? Can we get off the hypothetical?
Would you believe?
All right, yeah, okay. I've exhausted it now. I can't really. I can't think of it anymore.
Is your cousin? That's what the host said.
So, yeah. No one's with you on the whole issue with monkeys thing.
That's what
do you have any?
You got
the system. Do you have any evidence that God actually exists?
Does God actually exist? Yeah,
have
I'm gonna
evidence of
find
it.
out. But the difference between me and Christians is
I'm not asking about the
atheists.
difference between you and Christian. I'm asking you, do you
Yes.
have evidence that God exists?
Yeah,
Can you
I already
provide
told
that
you one.
to us?
I already
Like,
told
show
you
us
one.
how
I
he's
already told you one.
influencing anything.
I already told you one.
Like what?
Brimstone.
Okay.
What?
Can I ask one question? And I'll just shut up. Is there anything in the world that a person with faith can do that a person with without faith cannot?
It's called free will, brother.
What?
Listen to the question.
All free will.
This guy's like a broken record.
Is there anything that you can do that I cannot do?
Free
It's
will.
a yes or no question.
Can you move a mountain?
No.
The atheist baby can.
The Bible says that if you have faith, you can move mountains.
It does.
That's the evidence.
I know it says
that is a point of evidence. Like, if you have faith, you can move mountains. The Bible literally says that.
And
So,
you know
move
what?
the Alps.
That's how atheists are so dumb.
Move.
That is not
mountain.
It's not even. It's.
Listen, you guys.
Wait a minute. The system. You said that You said atheists are stupid.
Yeah, pretty much, because you don't believe in anything.
Wait a minute. What do you mean we don't believe in anything?
What do you believe in?
What define belief?
Yeah, what do you believe in?
Or do you define
What makes
belief
you
as
You're literally here.
Okay.
On Earth.
Do you?
And we can explain that.
System,
Yeah, where?
Do you define belief as believing in something without evidence? If you say yes, then no, I don't believe in things without evidence.
What do you believe in? You don't believe in anything.
I believe in abiogenesis.
Okay, so you listen to doctors.
Do you not
I'm
listen
sure
to doctors?
a lot more likely than a dude waving his wand and saying, "Oh, there it is."
Hey, pay that bill.
No, the issue is, James, that you believe in living doctors and tons of people.
Yeah,
where he
pay that
believes
bill.
in someone who died
How do you
over
think-
2,000 years ago. Or
It's more
unalive
likely
2,000
that
years ago.
a magic man snapped his fingers and
How do you
everything.
think doctors make their money?
Oh,
I
by
mean-
snapping their fingers and randomly making stuff? Dude, doctors are awesome.
Nah, it's from you idiots that fucking come in there and they're like, "Oh,
I know, right? I go in there with a
got
broken
ADHD.
like fucking scamming me, right? With the fucking cast and all that
Scam.
stuff.
Hey,
You get
So
scammed, brother."
Jesus said to them, "Behold, because of your unbelief, for surely I say to you, if you have faith as a mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move, and nothing will be impossible for you."
Well, that's not a figurative mountain.
That's New King James Version.
Okay.
Hey, system. Have you ever gone to the doctors?
Yeah, when I was stupid.
Okay, so you don't go.
So
to
you
the
still go
doctors
to the
that-
doctors?
No.
So the system.
Oh.
Let's say you.
I bet you wear a mask.
You just had your checkup
I bet
today?
you wear a mask in your car too.
Oh my God. So the system. Let's say you broke your arm and you had to go to the doctor.
I mean, that's
okay?
different.
How?
But anything eternal.
Let's say, the system.
Hell no,
Let's
I
say
ain't
you
cycling.
broke your arm.
Nah.
Let's say
it's
you broke your
different.
arm and you
That's
had
different. That's different.
and you had to go. You would go to the doctors, right?
But you talking about some bird flu or COVID?
Okay.
That shit-
No.
That's just
If you-
eternal. Eternal.
I don't think
System.
anybody's debating that fake shit
System.
exists in some places. Okay.
System. Can you just follow me?
Go ahead.
You would go to the doctors for your broken arm. Let me ask you: would you have the doctor fix your arm, or would you just have them pray over your arm?
Okay. So
which one?
broken arm.
No.
Answer.
Which one would you
I'm
rather than
answering.
do?
Broken arm is different than a virus.
Okay, yes, but
an
which
answer.
one would you rather have the doctor do? Fix your arm, or just pray for it?
I mean, I didn't say that doctors are bad.
That's literally what you said.
Can you just answer the question and just
They're
be honest?
bad when it comes to their
Your
trying to get
opinion.
money.
They're bad when it comes to your opinion.
System.
When it's like a virus, that's when it's all fake. Because germs, they don't exist.
Hey, first and foremost, I do want to say that we can also say that humans are the only ones that have that ability to do so. So we can also thank God for giving us the power to do that. So, but let me ask you guys this question. So, with that being said, I went to college graduate, had to go buy a science textbook, and my science textbook was the 25th edition of the textbook. And I asked him, I said, why can I use the 23rd edition? Why can't I use the 22nd edition? Why can't I use the 14th edition? And they said, because it all changes. It changes and changes and changes and changes and changes.
That's
right. So this crazy science stuff you guys talk about is going to change in 10 years. And the things that you guys are talking about right now is going to change.
It's progressive. It's crazy because it's progressive.
Well, no. You can't use the word progressive.
In science, we celebrate.
Let's be honest. Hold on.
Wrong.
What I'm saying is, it's not progressive. That's a semantical word to make it seem like it's adapting. It's not adapting. Let's be honest. It's wrong.
Bullshit.
There are things that are wrong in there, and I can grab a National Geographic from the 40s,
but there's
or
nothing
the 50s,
in there that is
or the
wrong
60s. And did you know that National Geographic said an ice age was coming? Did you know that they said ice caused cancer? Did you know that all these things that are scientists that you guys are talking about right now, your Big Bang Theory and all this baloney garbage that you guys are talking about? And I'll stop ranting. I'll stop ranting so you guys can talk. But either way, my point is, you guys are talking like science is in a cult. Like, it's just sad. Science is not the answer 100% of the time.
Have you not realized that I've been like fucking
science a cult.
Pooping out my butthole like this whole time?
They changed climate change to
Colin, did you ever
global warming to climate change?
Hold on. Colin, did you ever look and compare the difference between the version 22 and the version 25 book? Because I can tell you right now, unless you actually did the research of what was actually different, you don't know a thing, and you're just making shit up.
Well, here's the thing, Londo.
No. Unless you actually looked at the differences, you're just speculating.
So Londo. So let's go away from that. Let's go away from that thesis, and let's go look up all the things that scientists have gotten wrong since the 60s. Let's go a small portion of time. That's 50,
Can I ask you one question?
Hold on, guys. One at a time.
Did they ever get something wrong on purpose?
Yes, that has been done. Did you know that the scientific study that chocolate is good for you and good for your heart was done on purpose just to prove that scientists will run with things if it looks advantageous?
Colin, the big difference between science and our belief in science and religions in general and Christianity especially is that science teaches you, like, the central tenet of science is to not believe anything and to research and look for things that are wrong and different and might be disproven. So a key goal of science is to disprove the things that you know. Whereas with religion and cults, it's to accept the things you are told and not believe.
Of contention. And there is no science experiment out there that you're going to do. Like, actually do the science experiment, and it's gonna lie to you. Yeah. Okay, we're talking about human beings being arrogant, whatever. This is not science lying to you. You're a fool.
Ralph, your party lost because you think that.
Colin,
Hey guys, one at a time here. Come on.
Monkeys
gets better.
come from
Stop, system.
humans.
System, you can stop. And Colin, things got better.
That's
Science
why
is
you
better.
lost.
We get better in science with
You
more
don't
science.
believe you.
Can you tell me anything in science that got better from religion or the Bible? We didn't improve science from anything in the Bible. It's not like we said, oh, look, we got this wrong. Climate change is wrong because of the Bible. There's nothing in the Quran or the Bible or the Bible.
How many COVID shots you got,
that's
Ralph?
ever improved?
I've never had any.
So
And
actually, I'm glad that you brought that up. So did you guys just see the study from less than 5 years ago where a atheist did a satellite geographical, he did computer imagery with satellite images and actually found Sodom and Gomorrah, although everyone said that the Sodom and Gomorrah cities never existed. So to answer your question, he took his technology and found the actual cities of Sodom and Gomorrah with the satellite imagery, although he was an atheist and accidentally found that.
You're talking about geological locations. What does
Ralph,
that prove?
how many COVID shots did you get?
None.
Yeah. Okay.
Not a single one for me, bud.
No, I'm talking about Ralph.
And guys, I'm trying to. We're trying to have an intellectual discourse here. Right? I'm willing to listen to you guys as well, just like you're willing to listen to me, which I appreciate.
I very much love
System.
to listen.
Let me answer your question, System.
Hey,
Stop
guess
talking
what?
for a second.
People with the booster
Stop talking,
shot
System.
get COVID.
Stop talking, System.
That's how stupid y'all are.
System.
That was a mod.
I have had more vaccines than probably everyone else on this
bet
panel
you would.
combined. But what does that prove anything? What does that mean?
Because COVID was fake as fuck.
Oh yeah, my dad died from COVID. My dad unalived from COVID. My brother also
He
unalived from
unalived?
COVID. Don't tell me about it being fake.
Okay.
Yes, and I have
It was
family
a
members
flu,
friends that
brother.
unalived. And again, it's not.
It was a flu, Ralph.
No, it was not.
Yes,
I
it
absolutely
was.
know it was not.
System.
Yeah, and you keep
are
believing
as
it.
brainwashed. Literally,
I don't give a fuck
see your
what you
TikTok.
say. You're an atheist. You don't believe in shit.
Okay,
Like
Right.
a monkey.
Bill, can you
is
kick
a
System?
Do
human.
you have any mods,
Get
believer?
the fuck out of here.
Do you
Bill,
have
can you
anybody
kick
that's
System?
modding for you,
I
believer?
can't do that.
Okay.
wow.
Let's
That was
revert
enough.
back to the host here,
Wait,
man. He's
also,
been quiet for a
Colin,
while.
Colin, you brought up that Sodom and Gomorrah. Like, can you actually like pull up the study on that? Like, I was looking it up. You said one like from 5 years ago. I'm just trying to. I was taking a gander to try to see it.
Well, there's a National Geographic biography on it. I saw it on Disney Plus. Is that what that's called? And you can actually watch it on there. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty good documentary.
So it's
What
entirely
trying to see?
possible there were a couple cities or an area with two cities or towns, wherever you call it, and they might have been called Sodom and Gomorrah, and there was an earthquake or some other natural event that occurred that destroyed these cities, and thus a story comes up about it being the hand of God. But that happened. I mean, there's this little island in the Mediterranean that was destroyed by a volcano, and that wasn't God, right? So just a city being destroyed or an ancient city found, even if that city was found in archaeology, found a city that was destroyed by fire and sulfur and brimstone or whatever you have, that's all can come from a volcano. So that's not evidence of God.
Like for example, the earthquake.
Just because
like the earthquake that happened in San Francisco during the World Series, was that God back in the late 80s, early 90s? I mean, come on. Like, but again,
evidence of like a city or like a location isn't evidence for anything. Like just because Manhattan exists does not mean that Spider-Man
I would love
exists.
to get your religious beliefs and like what do you believe? Because I'm just curious. Like, do you follow the Bible? Do you believe it's like the absolute word of God?
I'm religious. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I can quote the Bible word for word. But at the same time, I know that there's a creator. I also will say that we're here, right? We've been created. Something created us, whether it's a simulation.
Wait, I just wanted to ask. You said you know there's a creator. What do you use to come to that conclusion?
So the fact is, the fact that anyone can say that we're not right here, right now,
gonna throw the watchmaker
talking to each other, just means that's crazier than saying that we're not. We're
That's
here,
the
right?
watchmaker fallacy, bud.
No, I don't see how that's an absurdity.
So you're telling me that we don't exist, is what you're telling me?
No, there's many other explanations.
You can just completely misconstrue what I say. I just said I don't think that's an absurdity.
So my point is, if you all of you in this room agree that we exist, this is my thing. Yep. If we all agree that we exist, no matter how we exist, if we all can agree that we exist, there was an origin of some sort, thus a creator.
Oh no.
My point.
There doesn't have to be. Why can't the universe be
demonstrate that everything in existence has a creator?
I think it's more naive to say that nothing created something versus something created something with logic.
Okay, but you can believe in an eternal God, but not an eternal
logical framework to come to the conclusion that everything has a creator. You just make that assumption because it seems just more plausible to you. You don't actually have like a line of reasoning to come to the conclusion.
I think the reasoning is something created something. That seems reasonable, but I think that nothing created something is almost a fallacy.
Those are your words. Where are you getting this?
Nothing creating something is not what we're arguing. It is the question of how did the universe begin. We don't know.
Yeah.
We actually don't even know that it had a beginning. There was something on PBS Science.
Yeah, when you say the word like creator, you imply that there's a being with some kind of mind,
right?
Presuppositions.
Like,
I never said omnibenevolent. I never said omnibenevolent creator. I never said that.
Well, it's not even sentient or have a mind. It doesn't even have to be a being. It could have been a force of some sort from a multiversal force, black holes or whatever.
But regardless of what source you have, if you say it's a creator, if it's a benevolent being, whatever it is, if the hypothesis that something has to create something, like it can't come out of nothing, you have to at some point come to something that just has always existed, right? Whether that's the universe always existed or your creator always existed or the force always existed, whatever, something, because to say that just something didn't always exist means that something had to create it and something had to create it.
I agree with that 1,000%.
So if you say,
I think we both agree 100% that something had to always exist. So
I find it
I know where you're coming from.
I find it perfectly reasonable to say, well, that something always existing could possibly be a God. It could possibly be something that existed for a time period and stopped existing, and that birthed the universe as we know it. It could be that the universe always existed. The problem is that I have not seen any evidence that points more strongly in one way or another. And the reason why I personally don't think it's a God that still exists and partakes in the universe and the world as we know it is because we have no evidence of any of their involvement in the world as we know it.
So what you're saying is, unless you know something, you'll never believe something, is what you're saying.
What?
So I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. I'm just trying to paraphrase here. Unless you absolutely know something, then you won't believe something.
No, unless I have some sort of convincing evidence that makes that more plausible than the other hypothesis out there.
That's reason. I mean, that's just logical reasoning. It's the way I think too, man. So Ralph, you would call yourself an agnostic?
I just call myself atheist because I believe atheist is just a lack in belief of a theistic view, not a absolute certainty. But you can call me agnostic. I don't care what you call me. You can call me Sally. I mean, geez. I just don't believe. I don't believe it's likely a God exists. I think it's highly unlikely that a God or entity that is greater than us exists, that created everything and that is involved in our reality. Like, I think it's possible there's a extra dimensional being that's greater than our universe that created our universe and set everything, the Big Bang and everything in motion. But due to that nature, that being or whatever it is not involved in our universe.
So can I ask you a question, guys? How old is the Earth according to science?
Roughly 4 billion years.
How old was the Earth according to science in 1975?
What does that have to do with anything? But I mean, it was different, I'll grant that. But what does that have to do with anything? That's just our technology getting better.
No. I mean, no, I'm asking is, I mean, back in 1975,
it was the same minus
Earth,
50 years.
From our scientists, right? Our science, said that Earth was not even close to 4 billion, you just said?
Because we didn't have an accurate way to measure it.
And it's entirely likely, or it's entirely possible, that 200 years from now we have better means of observing stuff and taking measurements, and we find out more information. We find out it's 5.5 billion years.
That's my
our
point.
Previous estimates are
What
wrong.
does that prove, though?
That proves that anything that we take to heart right now from science, let's see, 50 years later, could be totally wrong. I mean, the things that we're sitting there putting our hand on our
willing
heart
to
about.
take the things from this book that was written how long ago?
Again, you keep going back to the Bible, man. I'm not going to the Bible.
I don't understand. So you're picking your creator out of your own feelings?
But Colin, you got to realize, though, that the point of science is always to continuously reevaluate the facts and things that we know, and find the falsehood in them, or find ways to disprove them, to find a better truth or more accurate truth. That's why all the science stuff it's a Big Bang theory, it's the theory of evolution, it's the theory of gravity and stuff like that, because we don't take it as absolutes, and we doubt and question and continuously evaluate and get better ways to observe, monitor, and get evidence to further refine these theories. And those theories will maintain as being the current fact or truth of the system until someone can come up with some evidence or proof to show them wrong. And that's the thing about science, is once that's done, we will change. We can accept that.
I get that, but my point is, when we come up here and we preach, and I hate to use the word preach, that's why not always word, but when we
educate,
science,
we educate. When we speak of science, we educate.
It's a good word. Yeah, when you guys educate with science, just take into consideration that it could be wrong 50 years from today.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. When we talk about science, we're talking about science current day based on how it's grown. And we are arguing with people who think the Earth is 6,000 to 10,000 years old, and then people use arguments like you're kind of implying there to degrade science. You know, just because we went from like 1 million to 2 million to 3 million to 4.5 into the 50s and stuff, it is a whole scale of different compared to the Earth was created in a minute or a day. And
Can I give you
6,000 years old. These are apples and oranges comparisons. There is no degrading science in that way. It does nothing but serve the religious ignorance.
So let me add, and I appreciate that input. Sorry, I hear you talking. I'm sorry, I'm going to stop.
Yeah, 1 second. Colin, 1970, scientists said the Earth was 4.5 billion years old. So I really think that maybe you have your facts wrong, or maybe you're creating these obtuse issues. Yes, things do
No,
improve.
that was actually the work of Linus Pauling, if you're wondering. Linus Pauling in 1975 actually did his own scale. Sorry, not Linus Pauling. That would be Kelvin. Kelvin actually did his own calculations of Earth in 1975 of the age of Earth, and he was absolutely incorrect. And you're right, the numbers went up exponentially since then.
Can I give you an example of something, Colin? So let's say right now somebody was to get heart surgery, and that heart surgery saves their life, right? But 20 years from now, we find out that there was a better way to do it. What's wrong with that?
I mean, I think that's a terrible analogy.
No, it's a perfect analogy.
No, I don't think it's a good analogy, because I think that what we're talking about is right and wrong, and you're using what is what is functional versus more practical. So I think
we're using what we currently best know, the current best known information. It can be corrected. It does not get thrown out. It almost never gets overturned. Occasionally, things flip, like with Kepler and Galileo, but
so
rarely.
But what he said was the heart surgery worked. But the problem is, are you saying that it works in your head? Because if that wrong information, this is a binary answer. This is a 1 or a 0. And if you're saying that Earth is 1 million years old, you're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. You're saying Earth is 5 million years old. And by the way, I think it was.
Okay, let's go back 100 years. Let's go back 100 years or whatever. Yeah, whenever they thought that the Earth was 1 billion years old.
Okay, so let's talk about the shape of DNA. What was the shape?
No, let's not talk about the shape of DNA. Let's stay on the same fucking subject. Let's talk about the Earth when people thought it was 1 billion years old. Comparatively, religion thought it was 6,000 to 10,000, or they didn't even think about it at all. At some point, scientists got to the point where they understood it was X number of years ago old based on what they knew at the time. It was limited information, and they did the best they can. As time went on, we learned more in science, and we improved on those numbers. That's how it works. It is the best, most reliable, to-date system that we have. Nothing compares with it. It also is biasing correcting.
No, and you're right. And you're right. So what you're saying is
bad scientists versus bad science, because there are bad scientists, but a science project is not going to lie to you. It's not going. It has no motive.
And also,
but the results can be incorrectly interpreted too. There's also things known as false correlation.
That's human error.
Yeah. No. Hold on. There can be. So what is your point on that? I mean, it's not a perfect institutional system. It is restricted to spending and money. We don't have unlimited funds, so we have to pick and choose. And there's ego battles and things like that. But such things, when people criticize science and science fields, are what apologists come up with when they try to defend themselves against, we came from monkeys and crap like that. That is about as ignorant or less ignorant than a 5-year-old.
So
there was the guy that was here 2 days ago said that I read all the books. He said.
What about Darwin when he talked about gemmules? So what about him? He talked about gemmules coming out of the body.
About who?
His initial term of hereditariness, he was totally incorrect.
Yeah,
that he got corrected. The later scientists got corrected. Compare Darwin to others in his field at the time. Don't compare him to current knowledge. Darwin had some unique ideas, which turned out to be largely correct. Other stuff he didn't understand. He knew nothing of genetics. Mendel came later, like 40 years later.
Individual scientists gets stuff wrong all the time. However, as science evolves or as it develops more over time, it gets revised, adapted. So like with the age of the Earth, it started in the early pre-19th century of everyone accepting the religious belief that was, like 6,000 years old. And then someone comes along and says, hey, I think it's older. And then they're like, oh, well, maybe it's, like 100 million years old. And then they do more research, they do more study and stuff. And they say, well, no, it's it's older, and it keeps refining and stuff. And as we do more research and study, we come to more. Now, there might be some abstract, single scientist out there who says, no, that 4.5 billion is wrong. It should be, 3 billion or whatever. But then more researchers do study, evaluate his research and stuff, and come up with, we're back to the 4.5 billion, and they're like, okay, that guy is wrong. That hypothesis in that study or instrumentation he was using was wrong for these reasons. And that's what science does. It further, narrows it down. Now we have, the Earth could be older, it could be a little bit younger or something, but our probability margin is pretty narrow at this point, right? And that's what all the scientific fields, it keeps, like, we think, like the early ones we think it's older, we're not really sure how much, but we think it's older. And they were making guesses and stuff like that, and they were using the best tools they had. And we will continue to evaluate this in the future, and we might get better instrumentation, better studies, and better research, and be able to refine that. But that doesn't make science wrong.
And again, it's not
what's the alternative?
But it's not like we're getting the answer. It's not like we're improving.
Bingo. What's the alternative? Bingo. What is the better alternative? There is none.
Yeah, it's not like religion is getting us closer to the truth.
It sounds like he's arguing like that we should not try to figure things out.
No, not at all. And again, you guys keep going back to me on religion. I've not once thrown religion into this conversation. You guys keep throwing it in there as if I'm on the side of religion. Hold on. And actually, he did say bingo. So we'll get to that in a minute. I want you guys to brainstorm that as well. But again, you guys keep bringing back the Bible. I've never mentioned the Bible one time to you guys besides the satellite finding Sodom and Gomorrah, which I thought was pretty cool.
You've got to realize that everything that you're arguing is coming from that mentality.
No, but what I'm saying is your mentality is science says this, science says that, science says this, science says that. Great. But the problem is 50 years from now, you're going to be wrong, right.
No.
Okay, but there's nothing wrong with that.
But it could be the same.
40% of it is wrong, actually, technically.
But it's not going to, like, in 50 years, we're not going to basically find out that we are not great apes. We're in 50 years, we're not going to find out that domestic dogs did not come from wolves. There's certain things we are not going to change on. That's the problem.
Right. Yeah. Magnetism is not going to change. Gravity is not going to change. Our understanding of it will improve. That can change.
It's not like we're going to find out that it's not germs that are killing people. It's these magical little butterflies or these magical little beings. It's like, it's not, I feel like you are downplaying or sowing doubt in science, which is funny because your whole life is built on science. From you going to the gas station to you're turning on the lights, everything you do in your life is based off science.
So Colin, what are we missing here on what you're saying? What is the alternative here?
So and actually I want you guys to lead that one in a second because I'm going to be honest with you. I want to hear your point of view on it. But let's also talk about the static universe that was introduced from Albert Einstein with the general relativity. Let's also talk about that, which is also blatantly wrong.
General relativity is not wrong.
What's the harm of him being wrong? That's what I'm after. Like, what does
when scientists are wrong, we have guys like you that take it to heart and say this is the truth, no matter what, and it's not.
No, that's not what anyone who believes in scientific theory does. You question it, and if you can come up with a better answer, a better explanation of the things we observe, then you put forward that. We test it, we evaluate, we see if that's true, if that's a better answer. And that's the way it works. It's not a blind faith. It's not, oh, Einstein said this. Oh, Darwin said this, therefore it must be true because he's a scientist. That's not how it works.
No, I'm talking about the cosmological constant of Albert Einstein. He proposed the cosmological constant because he used his own general relativity theory.
Cosmological constant came from Hubble.
No, I'm talking about
the Hubble
Einstein's
tension.
cosmological constant.
Yes,
That Einstein's
and it got
cosmological constant was totally wrong because he used his own theory of general relativity and said that there's a static universe. Now, you guys, are you
No,
going to
he
tell me that
didn't.
there's a
He
static
didn't.
universe?
He used the static universe to Einstein was his intuitive. He thought it would make sense if it was static. So he threw the constant in there because there seemed to be something missing, and that would allow the static universe to be correct to match the equations. Turned out he was wrong on that. Although it turned out it was right because it was just representing something else, which he didn't even know of, which was, is it dark matter or dark energy?
What did he
Dark
do when he
energy.
found out he was wrong?
Dark
So,
energy.
and guys, real quick, I actually like this conversation because you know what? Intellectual discourse is something that's dead nowadays. But you know what? Let me ask you guys.
Colin.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Colin, you still haven't provided an alternative.
Well, that's what actually I was going to say.
We've been asked.
What is a logical alternative, if anything? Is there a logical alternative besides faithfully running with science?
The alternative is to improve the institution of science, which is number one as a culture to not bash it, because we need more funding for research so we can do better science and have better methodologies. Also have more funding so that we can do more replication in studies, including replication of disproving things. And I would like to see, frankly, enough funding just on a world scale through something like a World Science Organization, where you get mandatory publishing of negative findings, so everything gets out there. And that's basically it. It is up to the society to decide how much they want to know, which relates to how much they want to spend money to get to learn that. What we have right now going on is pretty good science, although the funding is going down. It's been going down for at least a couple generations in certain fields, and we're doing the best we can given those limitations. So we don't know of a better system. Otherwise, we would be doing it. There does not seem to be a better methodology.
No, I love that answer, and you're absolutely right. The only thing I will say is I think that we should be allowed to heavily criticize it, not bash, because I think you used the right word. Bash is the right word. When you say bash, it's just go in there and hit it with a sledgehammer. No matter what, we just ignore it because it's that voodoo word science. But I think we should be allowed to heavily criticize it. I think we should also be open-minded and say, okay, what I'm learning today, there is a yay percentage that, although it works out in the right favor, 50 years from now, we might find something that improves our knowledge to become
but that's what I keep
a
saying
smarter being.
Is that's what scientists do. They keep
what
questioning,
scientists
they keep
do.
reevaluating, they keep retesting. But
when you
but
came
for
up
us,
here,
but for us to sit there and question, like, what is the speed of light? What's the measurement for the speed of light? For you or I probably to do that test to determine the speed of light, we don't have the wherewithal to do it. So we can't all just do these independent tests. So at some point you have to trust that all these other scientists who are doing the tests and repeating and finding the same results, that is the value for the speed of light.
But Colin, when you want to criticize something, you kind of need to know and kind of be somewhat of an expert or understand than just to criticize. Because that would be like you criticizing a mechanic when you have no clue about the car at all, but you're just criticizing because you think you know something.
I'll give you a personal primary source.
That's the problem, is that I feel like you're criticizing science and you have no effing clue about any shit you're talking about.
Okay, so let me add
Go ahead, let Colin respond to that, please.
So let me add a personal primary source that I learned in school when I was much younger, when the dinosaurs roamed, I guess, ironically. I learned that the gigantic volcano is what made the dinosaurs extinct in school when I was a kid. They said that what made the dinosaurs extinct was a gigantic volcano that just erupted and took out all the dinosaurs. Now, that's me learning that from school. I don't know if there's any more primary of a source of education as a kid than school. And now we know in the short period of time, and all things considered, yeah, I'm old, but my point is, with all things considered in our knowledge, a short period of time, that's 100% false. That was just imagined by people, and we just ran with it.
No, it wasn't.
again,
It was not. It was not
hypothesis.
imagined by people.
Colin,
First off,
again,
do you understand?
you're
Do you understand why the volcano hypothesis was what it was? Why it would have led to dinosaur extinction?
Go for it. I mean, obviously, enlighten me.
It's because, I mean, we saw this happen in Iceland a few years ago when there was a large, you get a lot of dust into the atmosphere, and it darkens the planet and all that. So there was the logic to it. They needed an explanation, and that one made sense, even though the scale of it was a little bit harder to believe. And they were also, as part of that hypothesis, thinking that a meteor might have done it, because that would have had the potential, if it was big enough, to kick up much more dust, and even obviously possibly break apart the planet. But that would take out everything, so it would have to be a certain size. So they spent many years after that looking for the location of that crater, and then they eventually found it. Now, it's still not an absolute that's the thing. There's some discussion now that it was sort of a combination of things. But they didn't just come up with the volcano thing and put it into all the books. I mean, we can criticize the science books sometimes for maybe the way they phrase things, but you can't criticize the science behind it, because the good science is in the research papers and the people who understand the research papers. All that has to be obviously seriously dumbed down for the science books, where you're trying to explain such things to a fourth grader when you're first starting to teach them this stuff.
Totally understand.
Colin, how old are you?
I'm almost 40, so 37. I had to think about my own age.
Yeah. How old were you when you learned about the volcano in school?
I had to be probably second grade, something like that. I don't know my age.
Yeah, so it's a very big possibility that your understanding of the volcano was just that it was a hypothesis, and when your teacher showed it to you, did not convey that in a way that you would understand that it is just a hypothesis and we weren't just taking it as an absolute.
I would blame the teacher on that one. Yep, 100%.
Well, also, I mean, Believe in Reality just said it best, though. He just said, come on, we're talking to a second grader, third grader, whatever grade I was in. You have to dumbify everything. Not dumbify, you know what I'm trying to say. Simplify. Yeah, simplify everything for a third grader. And as they get older, we can add more information to them. I mean, it would be like trying to teach a second grader algebra when they need to learn addition and subtraction first.
Wait, but can I ask, after you heard about the volcano in second grade, did you do any more research into it later in life?
No, I
there
got
it is.
into dinosaurs or anything like that. And keep in mind, I was born before the internet, born before, and a lot of us are, before the internet, before the World Wide Web.
So
I don't ever listen to anybody. Like, you don't ever listen to anybody empirically. Like, somebody says a thing, you go out and research that thing. That's the problem I think you're having, is like, you think that people just hear this thing and believe it. That's not what they're supposed to do. Like, people do that, yes, but that's not what's supposed to happen.
Yeah, Colin, a lot of your criticisms here that you so-called criticisms that you've come up here on science has come from ignorance or lack of research or information on a certain subject, and you've ran with it. And then like when you came up here and you won that on that, you did call it a rant when you were in college, and you were like, why are there all these different versions of a science book or whatever? And you didn't if you didn't research into the volcano hypothesis, I can assume that you probably didn't fully research the books that you were supposed to have in college onto why there were
more additions and what changed in said additions. I don't like see how I can take anything you say here and like
No,
consider it.
And look, and I appreciate that. Look, and my moral of my story, what I'm trying to say is, it's erroneous as to why there's 25 editions of the book, right? And this is what I'm trying to get to, and we've actually kind of touched on this already, and I think Believe in Reality kind of touched on it really well. I think it's erroneous. I was trying to convey the fact that science is always adapting. It's always changing. And what we know or what we think we know now could be different. We talked about that already.
You're putting
At
a
the same time, you're right. 50 years from now, if there is an answer that's a better answer 50 years from now, I'm running with that answer 50 years from now and saying, hey, we were wrong, but we tried.
But it just depends on what it is. But Colin, it kind of puzzles me because we knew in 1980 about the theory of the asteroid and the dinosaurs. It came up in 1980, and you went to this grade school probably in the early 90s?
So, yeah, early 90s. And I can tell you right now, I put my hand on my heart. That's what they taught me.
So this textbook was old. And so again, this is where doing research would have probably led you to other theories to see that there's other ideals of how something happened. And here's the thing, when we look at the past, it's hard to always tell exactly what happened. And that's why there's sometimes multiple theories to try to explain a phenomenon. Doesn't mean that multiple theories mean we don't know. It's just that we try to explain the best we can. And we know the dinosaurs existed. We know they went extinct. And we try to explain how did it happen based off every evidence that we can see and we can experience and what we can have. And this is what we have. And that's the thing is, I think, I really feel for some reason, I'm not sure why, it just seems like you really have this really negative approach to science. I'm not sure what caused it, but it's just like you have this really like negative thing. Just your terminology, your words.
Comes from believing things at face value. Like, and I think that's what he's done his whole life. He's believed a thing at face value and then found out that, well, maybe that wasn't true. And now he's upset about that. So he's lashing out at science.
I think it's a good point about, or makes a good demonstration of how science should be taught, how the method should be taught. And I mean, even thinking that in grade school we should have philosophy of science, which is too big a term for that age, but it's something like how science works, in a simpler
I don't
form.
mean to tell you how you are, Colin. That was just my personal opinion.
So I appreciate it, guys. And the thing is, I came in here, wanting to talk to some individuals that are very, very astute, very knowledgeable on the situation. Only reason I requested to join on here is because I said, you know what, these guys might open my mind up to something new. So I really appreciate you guys really taking the time, sharing your knowledge with me. And the next time I go into this, discussion, because there's other lives that do very similar concepts, I'm going to go with a different approach because you know what? You guys have enlightened me with something that I have to sit back and think of, which is, hey, what is the alternative to this? What we're doing right now, it may seem nonsensical 50 years from now, but I know, what is the alternative? What else do we have?
Yeah.
So it's a great point.
Yeah. Yeah. We can remember philosophy is something we can always do and we always should do, but it is a free science thing to do. It's basically use philosophy and observation to generate hypotheses, and then the scientific method goes from there. So it still is the best we have, even though if it's immature. And consider the subject that we're on too. It's like, it's one thing in science to be talking about the origin of the universe. It's another thing of science to be talking about a certain chemical reaction or something that we know basically 100% about. So It depends
Agreed,
on
guys.
how old the knowledge is, and give science about a cultural good 50 years for what the experts know at the beginning of a field, like in nuclear physics, for example, to start to get to the public, and which also means to get into the textbooks.
Right.
Right.
Like we won't know everything about quantum physics and stuff until that field is a certain age.
And how much money is there in the education system? How much money do we have to print new books, or is school always battling this thing where they're using 20-year-old textbooks, which were based on information that was researched 20 years before that? So,
well, guys, it was an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. I'm going to disconnect and still listen to you guys, but either way, it was a pleasure.
Thanks,
and thank you for your time, man.
And thank you. It was very engaging and very respectful, and I appreciate that.
Change of pace from an hour ago.
Even though I get excited sometimes, you know, I come from a place of nothing but respect.
Yeah. I think I might just start doing that now whenever like somebody comes up and they're like irate or like, you know,
yeah,
just
like
actually plain ignorant. I'm not calling Colin ignorant. I'm calling that system dude ignorant.
Yeah,
or I'll just bring up. I'll hit them with the atheist baby, and I can watch their head explode. Yeah, that was.
I don't know how to.
You came from monkeys? You came from monkeys?
How many times did he say, so you believe we came from monkeys? I bet you it was
so actually what you should do is you should do the trolley problem where 5 atheist babies and 1 Christian baby, and who are you going to save?
Yeah.
Oh, that's what you should do.
Really morally bankrupt, dude.
So
it's like how do you converse with somebody where nothing goes in?
Right.
You know?
You should do the trolley.
You
trolley
just throw anything in there. You
trolley
don't like.
problem.
You kind of just derail.
Throw logic out the window. Yeah.
Welcome, millennial.
It was entertaining. I gotta say that.
Yeah. What's on your mind?
I was just gonna throw out one that I got earlier on a live today.
Yeah.
One of the guys that jumped in was very irate, like you're discussing, and was very convinced that we couldn't admit that we don't know. He's all you atheists, you just have this problem. You can't admit that you don't know, that you can't say you don't know. And I'm like, that's literally the cornerstone of just about every atheist argument I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Like, that's step 1.
Step on. Don't know. Ask how. Try to go figure it out.
Yeah, that's the point, bro. Like,
well, that's a new one coming from that side. So.
Yeah.
And I mean, like,
well,
we just covered it a couple times too. Actually, said it to him directly, and he still just he just wanted to scream his points into the void or whatever.
But he thought he thought don't know was an okay thing, though, right?
You guys really want to pull your hair out, man? Go talk to a guy called Precept Mike. Oh my God.
The precept arguments, so silly.
Any precept.
If you really want to pull your hair out, man, go talk to Darth Dawkins.
He was here. He was here a couple nights ago. 2 or 3 nights ago.
Oh, was he? I can't believe I missed that.
Oh, you didn't miss it. He came into the chat, and I just blocked him. He's already banned from the channel, and he came in with a new account, so I blocked that one too.
Phil, you didn't invite him up so that he could do his little song and dance?
Because he's too
hit him with atheist baby.
But he's too cruel. Yeah. He's too cruel. I don't mind the arguments. I mind the cruelty. And he's not a nice guy.
It took me a while to figure him out.
You can disagree without being disagreeable. That's for sure.
Yeah.
He basically I don't know what the term is in debate for it, but it's where you force your opponent into making arguments they're not actually making. Where I would say something like, I'm not making a positive claim of knowledge. What I'm making is a claim that the evidence your claim is based on is crap.
False. Right.
And he would try and force me into a corner where he's saying, but you can't, you're making the claim that you know God doesn't exist. I'm like, no, I haven't said anything of that nature.
What I
don't know.
He presents a lot of false dichotomies too.
You don't
like I've heard him
a crazy story to tell another person that their crazy story is crazy.
I'm not even sure what he believes because he seems to just really get off on annoying people. So.
Yeah.
He's also
I'm
one of those
pretty
guys who likes
sure,
to. Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm pretty sure like him and like some of his followers, like I'm pretty sure everyone here knows who Precept Mars is. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like 100% positive that like they're just absolute trolls, because if you ask Precept Mars like if you ask him like surface level knowledge on like the Bible or something, he cannot tell you anything. Like, or like I've seen Darth Dawkins like a lot with that false dichotomies. Like, if someone like says that subjective morality exists, that they're claiming that objectivity does not exist.
Yeah, that's trolling behavior, man.
Yeah.
I hope so. Otherwise, dude
he's
needs
just
some
trying
help.
to get a rise out of you, dude.
Yeah, I get a rise out of a lot. Rise up some slides and then cut them off.
Yeah,
I'm just tired of the tactics. So logical points. Okay, you're right. You're wrong. Here's on the logic. But when it's tactical, I don't want to play along.
Right.
You know what I've noticed a lot of
and
lately?
Also,
sorry.
Just
one that I've seen a lot of lately is the believers or those who are more sure of the God side of the argument seem to take even the remote questioning of it as a personal attack. It's so deeply entrenched in their identity that just to make the not even to question God himself, just to be like, so why do you believe that? Is an offensive question to them.
That's why they crash out so much.
And it really is a major crash out, and it bothers me on an intellectual and a former religious level, because I'm like, the questions that we're asking actually have good answers. The chain of logic breaks down, but it breaks down like 6 or 7 steps in. There are actually good answers to the first couple of questions down this road, and they can't even get to that because they're so like hyper reactive on the first couple. And it bothers me because I'm going, I don't want to defend your side of the argument, but I almost want to, just so we can actually have a discussion on it. Like, I could do a better job of this than you do.
Do you ever watch Dr. Blitz?
No, not
yes,
yet.
Yes, he's good.
Watch Dr. Blitz, dude. He's wonderful at just keeping his cool and letting him crash out and just like.
What time is he on now? Because I know he moved, and so he was on a different time.
He's in New Zealand right now, so you're going to see him. I don't know what time zone you're in, but I'm in Oregon, so it's like 10 o'clock here now.
Yeah, I'm in Los Angeles.
He would be on probably tonight around 4 a.m. So, like, for him, that would be in the morning.
Okay.
Yeah. Another like thing that like really gets Darth Dawkins is people who can like, or like Precept Mars is people who can out Philbro him.
Right.
And it's just people who have a better understanding of like logical and philosophical arguments. Like, I've talked about the guy before, but there's this guy, Monkey Boy, and
yes,
a lot of it is because like the people that go up on his page, are not the, I don't know how to like say it in a nice way. They aren't the brightest,
right?
Or like,
and he's smart,
but he's so
shooting fish in a barrel.
unbelievably good at philosophical arguments that he's banned off of Dark Dawkins Live, because I think he probably does have, I think he has a couple of videos on his YouTube channel, and it took him 2 minutes before like Darth Dawkins went into an actual like screaming match.
Yeah, he crashes fast.
Yeah,
so you should know while I was on Darth Dawkins the other day, his major offense with me, the reason he chose to like absolutely eviscerate me, was because I used the term agnostic atheist. Like literally, that's where he started being ridiculously angry with me, and to the point where I honestly thought I had quote unquote lost. I was just like, okay, whatever, dude.
Because he can't form an argument against it. Like he can't put you in a box.
No, but he tried, and I honestly, I left after I debated him for like 20 minutes or so, and then left. And then I read through his chat a little bit, and the chat's like, no, Darth, he they're like, he was trying to make all these disingenuous arguments against me, and his chat's like, no, Darth, he just mopped the floor with you. And I'm just like, got him.
Yeah.
Gotta love it. Do we have any believers coming up?
No. I think I'm going to wrap up too. We're 2:45 here, so.
Right.
All right.
It's been a stressful night for me, so.
We got some characters up here. So.
Yeah, we did. And I appreciate you all for holding when I had to shut off my camera there.
The system was
I had to blow off
very-
some steam.
The system, I'm not sure if you saw some of his like things, and he was pure. He was a MAGA. He was a MAGA, true and true.
Yeah, he looked like a worst case scenario on pretty much everything.
Yeah, it's sad.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
All right.
Have a good
Take
night,
care,
everyone.
everybody. We'll talk to you Friday.
Bye.
All right. Good night.
A couple of days.